Hello, can you guys hear me? I hope so. Sorry I'm a little late. I was stamping some stuff and I had my hands all inky. I didn't even clean them up, and I'm not appearing on camera because my left eye, my contact lens, I don't know what was going on with it, but it irritated my eye, and then I rested it, changed my lens, but then once it's irritated, my eye is red. It makes that side of my face, my nose run. So it's just been, I've just been resting, but most of all, I'm sitting in the dark, except for very dim on the computer so that I can show the reports we're going to read through. So that's why. But hopefully it'll be better tomorrow. And the kids still have their friends over. They went sledding. It was cold. It was, but it was warmer than last night. It was like 26. Then they went ice fishing. Ethan has a video. I've got to get that up. And then I was home. I was doing some crafting, doing some organizing, stuff like that. And we went to the restaurant. We got pizza for dinner. So that was, we'll hope you guys had a good Sunday. Tomorrow they don't have school, so more holiday. So I'll have a sleepover going on here. All right, let me first, what I'm going to do before we go on and do the reading of the documents with Shanna Gardner and Mario Fernandez. I just want to go over some of the headlines and talk about Audrii Cunningham. Okay, so let me get her picture up here. I'm sorry, I can't even see the chat right now. Just let me get this up here. So this Audrii Cunningham is a Texas, 11-year-old Texas girl who was last seen Thursday morning. She never got to school. They had a prayer vigil noon on Sunday at the Polk County VFW post in Livingston. A Facebook post, let me see here, said that, let's see, VFW, they said they were having at 12 noon, community members will be holding a prayer service with Comrade Bob Abbott. All of those who would like to attend to come and fellowship. Audrii loves the VFW and has spent many days making us laugh and learning to dance. Our hearts are breaking. We love you, sweet girl. So someone said, what's the latest news on this? And did someone confess? And so that's what we're going to do now. To tell you about that, I heard they had a man in custody. Let's see what's happened 4 hours ago. There was a press conference. So let me grab that. So, you're saying a corner. Okay, let me go and pull this up now because it's not, unfortunately, I don't think it's looking good at all. So there's a man in custody. She was last seen at 7 a.m. on February 15th. She was supposed to get on the school bus, but she never made it. She never got on the bus. She never got to school. There was an Amber Alert that was issued on February 15th. The sheriff's news release describes her as a white female with blonde hair and blue eyes, weighing 75 pounds, 4 foot 1 inches tall. She was last seen wearing black pants, black hoodie with white lettering, and black high-top tennis shoes. She was also carrying a bright red Hello Kitty style backpack. Investigators say they identified a 42-year-old man as a person of interest involved in her disappearance. They believe he is driving a dark blue 2003 Chevrolet Suburban. He was arrested Friday on an unrelated charge of aggravated assault. And yesterday, a small backpack that likely belonged to a child was located near the Lake Livingston Dam. Her mother, Audrey's mother, Cassie Matthews, said, "Hard is an understatement for the pain and stress of her daughter's disappearance." And I quote, she said, "She has a lot of loving family. She has so many people that love her and adore her. I am not going to be the same unless my baby is returned to me, and neither is her family, any of us, any of her friends, any of the people she has been connected to in the community." And Livingston is about 70 miles northeast of Houston, and so okay, so then the prayer vigil was held. Day 3 of the search for 11-year-old Audrey continued on Sunday. The prayer vigil was held by the community and the VFW Post 8568. A friend of Audrey's family named Chris Booth said, and I quote, "Audrey is missed. We want her home." The Livingston community and Audrey's family are still searching for answers regarding her disappearance. Okay, and Department of Public Safety say they still do have 42-year-old Don Stephen McDougal, a person of interest, in custody. They're asking people if they have any video footage of a dark blue Chevy Suburban from Thursday or Friday to submit the tip to the Polk County Sheriff's Office. And authorities have named Don Stephen McDougal as a person of interest. They have a video shows an officer questioning McDougal in Livingston on Friday. He has not been charged in her disappearance, but they do say they suspect foul play. McDougal has a lengthy criminal history that dates back to 2001, according to his court records. He has charges that range from theft to evading, the most notable being convicted of 2 counts of enticement of a child back in 2008. A neighbor, Denise Kolojako, has said that she has seen McDougal at Audrey's home before. And I quote her saying, "I went there one day and he was there. It was a high and by situation, so I don't know." Excuse me. She said she saw Audrey walk to the bus stop every morning around 7 a.m. She said Audrey walks by, stops to pet their dog, and the last time that happened was Wednesday afternoon on her way home. Okay, so excuse me, I mean on her way to school. I am so sorry. Okay. So I don't see, Elle was asking me if there was a confession. I'm not seeing anything like that, Elle. Just that there's a person of interest. and they suspect foul play. Let me see. Something else. Okay. Okay. So it says that her father, Josh, has a public Facebook post announcing his child is missing, and the comments included some alarming details. Okay, so let me see something. Let me see his public Facebook post, if I can find that. Okay. So apparently, here is the charges. So they're enticing a child found guilty, enticing a child confinement to commence 527 days jail credit. That was in 2008. And apparently this is a guy, allegedly. Okay, let me see here. Now, some people are saying that he was a babysitter there. I don't know about that. Let me see here. Okay, what is this about? So here's what's going on, what they're saying. Audrii lived with her father, Joshua Cunningham. Her mother, Cassie, had no contact with Audrii. Stephen McDougal is the roommate of Joshua, where Audrii also lives. Stephen has been in trouble for SA with a minor in the past. Joshua works on a boat, and Stephen quite often has Audrii while he is at work. On the 14th of February, Stephen McDougal sent Cassie various text messages trying to arrange a meet with him and Audrii without the father's, Joshua's, consent. On February 15th at 1 p.m., the school spoke to Joshua saying that Audrii did not go to school. And Joshua called the bus board at 5 p.m. He contacted the police at 7 p.m. On February 15th, Stephen sent Cassie a text message asking if she had seen Audrii. He said he dropped her off at the bus stop in the morning but hasn't been seen since. Joshua and Cassie put up Facebook posts asking for help in the search for Audrii. Joshua's Facebook doesn't mention that Stephen dropped her off at the bus. Stephen was questioned by the police but not held. On February 16th, a press conference was held. She's still not found. At some point in the past 2 days, Stephen started listing multiple items for sale as if he was trying to make some quick cash for bail. And then her mother wrote a Facebook post that said, "My daughter was ripped from me by her father and his family a while back, and I have been denied any type of contact in any way, even refusing my rights of visitations with her with threats to my life, plus from her father and family. I've been stacking up my proof of such in hopes to take her father to court with enough evidence of her being kept from me that the judge couldn't deny me the custody I fight for. Stephen is a stranger amongst other random strange men that has been allowed to live in the home of my daughter. Stephen was left in charge of Audrii as her babysitter when her father goes out on the boat to work because the father's mother is heavily mentally unstable and doped out on mental meds 24/7 and cannot care for her herself. This is all information I've retained from other people around the family. If anyone they allow in their home speaks to me in any way, they are instantly cut off and never allowed to step foot on the property or around any of the family members again. Now recently, Stephen started to message me about Audrii, like he wanted to help her see me. I've known the man wasn't right from the jump, but used him to get any information I could about my child. Last night he messaged me trying to, hang on a minute, convince me to come along. Excuse me, hold on one second. Let me get a tissue. Is this nice? Okay. To come along, to come alone without my fiance to a park around the corner from my home to meet up with him and see my daughter. He insisted Audrii didn't like my fiance, and she doesn't even know him. Red flags are flying high to me at this point, but I play along with the idea in hopes to get my daughter in my sight and hands after school so that I could call her father myself to come get her from this man. I was only trying to keep her father from pressing false charges or giving me further backlash, or my daughter further backlash for being around me. He talks about all the chaos they put my daughter through at that home, and he isn't the only mouth I've heard these things from. Well, he tells me he is taking her to school this morning and then coming to me with her after school. I realized that wasn't the case, and I message, I guess today isn't going to happen, and have a good day with my fiance. Tried to contact her father directly due to me being blocked from all ways. Where was I? Always of communication with him to let him know something wasn't right about Stephen and the whole situation. At 7 p.m., her father's mother goes to my fiance's mother's home in the same neighborhood as they live, claiming she is missing and never got off the bus. Her father received a message from the school at 1 today saying she wasn't at school, and he didn't even attempt to contact the bus barn until 5 p.m. They didn't contact the law until after 7 p.m. How do you not notice your 11-year-old daughter hasn't made it home from the bus stop for 3 to 4 hours? Stephen said he was taking her to school. Then when she came up missing, he all of a sudden was taking her to the bus stop. Things don't add up, and why did he push so hard to get me to meet him alone? I need answers, and I need my baby to come home. This man clearly knows what's going on, where my baby is, and I know it in the pit of my stomach. Hold on. Then there's text messages from Stephen McDougal trying to get her to meet with him, saying, "Why are you livid? I've never disrespected you. Your baby has been asking about you." Allegedly, the mother saying, "They've all just come across weird and wrong, and Valentine's Day is not my favorite day. I lost my very first best friend on this day, and that just didn't even sound right and looked bad, and I don't know. And what do you mean asking you about me? What has she been asking?" And he says, "Sweetie, I'm as straightforward as it comes. If I was just talking to you to try to F, I would have tried." She said, "Touche, I give you that." He said, "She asked me if I ever talked to you And if you were as bad as they say you are. And then the mother said, just came off wrong, upset me. Wow, as bad as they say? What did you say? He said, oh yeah, they have made it look like you are just horrible. I told her that you are doing good and you are fun to hang with. And she said, when did she ask this? And he said, she asked me yesterday going to school. And she said, I'm surprised she thought about me. She's scared to see me because of their reaction, huh? Didn't you say they kept her inside for a month after I saw her at Justin's mom? He says she does all the time. Yes, exactly. Yes, she is still not allowed outside by herself in the evening. They told her that you were in the woods. She is confused about the situation, but I told her that you are not hiding in the woods, but we talk. Hold on. Then she says, what is wrong with him? Is he on drugs, or is he effing stressed that his mental has him thinking that I'm going to steal her in the night, or that I live in the effing woods behind his mom's house? That's some serious crazy shite. It's like they are scaring her and brainwashing her with literally insane thoughts only a child would believe, so she doesn't want to know me like they make it out to be. Makes me wonder if Lucky has the beginning stages of his mom's mental problems and no shite talking, just concern for him as in general as a person, or tell me the whole effing family just all throwed off in general acting like a effing cult or some shite. Maybe you want to drink the Kool-Aid man, if you know what I mean. He says, not him. She says, not that I'm going to react upon this, because I surely won't. I want what's best for my kid, and being everything they fueled her head with wouldn't be anything in my favor. He says, like I said, I told him I talked to you. Mother said, but it makes me sick to my stomach that they think this is okay. She has innocent, fragile child mind, and them warping it with chaos is not right, man. He says, well, don't, but I might take you out to the dock to fish and accidentally pull up with her to fish.
Oh, Sam's Conair 68.
What the hell?
Thank you. Everyone follow Sam's.
Oh my gosh, that scared the crap out of me. Oh my gosh, okay, something started playing. Some person I know. Oh my gosh, sorry Sam, I can't now. If you know, you know. Okay. The one by their house, really anywhere. Okay. Now let me see here. So you can come out to fish. All right. I want to meet her too, but if this comes back on me, I could lose her forever. I would kill you then, myself then, not a threat, but a promise. Let's see. It would not, as long as no one says anything about it being set up. No one would even know, and she won't say anything to them. And then the mother says, there's a park down the road from my house. Would that be okay? And you and Justin would have to just sit nearby and BS or pretend to do. You can listen if you need to, but for my protection as well, I couldn't be alone. He says, Justin can walk around the park and we can talk to you. She said, this whole thing scares me, and that's fine. And he says, like, for real, for real. And she says, why doesn't she? And he said, it's okay, we don't have to. And she says, no, I want to. Just please understand that I'm as scared as she is. She's not the only one made to feel terrified about things like this. And it's sad because she's my daughter and I, her mother. We should be happy and excited to see each other, or at least not so scared to do so. Don't you see anything wrong with this man? Like, please understand. But yes, I want to see her. Yes, I want to talk to her and answer any question she has truthfully, no matter how much it may hurt me. She deserves to know the truth on my end, and also how much I do love her, because at this point she's got to be questioning if I do or not. He says, oh, I see the wrong with it, and I am trying to fix what I see wrong. You're not a bad person, and she deserves the chance to know that. Then the mother says, why would you want to do this? And he said, you want to do it tomorrow? Or she said, when would you want to do it? And he said, you want to do it tomorrow? And she says, look, it's one thing to have you say it, but Before we meet tomorrow at the park, I need to hear her say herself, either in a video or on the phone, that she wants to meet, what she wants is to meet me and talk to me. She doesn't have to say nothing more and nothing less, please. You don't know what I've been through, trying to have anything to do with her or the harassment from his friends and such because of the lies that have been told. I need reassurance. He says, okay, I'll take her to school tomorrow. She says, after school, correct? And he says yes, and she says, what time would I need to be at the park, and can you guarantee I will hear her say she wants to meet me there? And he says, yes, I will take her to school and have you on the phone. She says, I will not force anything on her. Seems like it's been enough of that already. Okay, when do you take her to school? He says, at 7. She says, okay, I'll be awake by 6:30 or 6:40. I do love her, and I pray that there is no setup for more bad things to come to me when all I want to know is know my child. Good night. I hope to hear more. And then it's Thursday morning. She says morning. He says good morning. She says, I hope I hear from her this morning, and please let her know that if she changed her mind, that is perfectly okay, and I understand. Don't want her feeling pressured. So I know it's not going to be a thing today because she's ready. Something, but please let her know. Okay, hold on a minute. And then let's see. And then she said to someone, I even tried to get him to let him talk to her, hear her voice. I never did. I tried to play friend to get to my baby and protect her. That didn't even work. And then somebody said, so the plan was to meet today. I'm confused. She said, I'm so sorry you're going through this. Stay strong. Someone said to her, stay strong for your baby girl. She needs you. People were talking to her. Okay, let's see here. Yes, she said he was trying to get me alone to meet him at a park. I was going to go to make sure she was safe and make her father come get her so he knew what his friend was doing. My fiance had messaged the father at the same time to try to tell him of this information and express our concern for well-being left alone with Stephen. Okay, so it doesn't sound good at all because that was the day after she disappeared. And let's see. All right, let me see here. What is this about? And then there was a video of Audrii doing a tattoo on I think it was on Josh, the father. Apparently this Stephen McDougal tried to sell his Suburban on February 14th. Here is go to something else here. Okay. Okay, so the reason that Elle is hearing that he confessed on social media, and now because of social media, and because there's people locally and there's people that hear things, and a lot of the comments and all over social media, you find things that have not been released, but they're saying that they're looking for something, and that apparently he confessed to something. So that's all I'm going to say. I don't see any confirmation from law enforcement, but that's why people are hearing that, because it's going around social media. Someone saying they have the specific details, but they're not comfortable posting because it's not been released yet to the media of exactly what they're looking for and where. It'll make sense when it's released. But, you know, you don't know who knows what about what. Somebody said McDougal was led to the river and he was pointing to a particular area. They found a backpack they believed to be hers. Let's see. Okay, they said that somebody said a day ago that they had Stephen out there on a bridge in shackles pointing to areas. Another person said they were searching a dam. Let's see. Okay, let me see one other thing. Okay, and apparently there's people coming forward saying things about Stephen McDougal and what he tried to do to them. Let's see. Okay, so what is this? So let's see. I don't know. So it doesn't, it's, looks bad, I'll just say that. And it says that there's other people that have said a lot of stuff and released a lot of stuff, but I'm not going to release that until law enforcement releases anything like that. There were pages of him selling his stuff, like it said all must go, look at that everlast punching bag, some kind of tools, I don't know, I mean, like a bunch of junk. And then they said something about his Suburban, I don't know. Notebook found by, hold on a minute. The people are saying there's a law enforcement spouse that's leaking information. I mean, it's crazy. Okay. All right, so I'm going to purse that she's found on Miracle, okay, but it's very scared. Scary stuff. I would try to find out where you guys are, because I haven't been in the chat. Here I am. Okay, hello, Mr. Electric. You're breaking in from your class models. Hi, Paint It Black. Hi, Farm Wife and Rough and Ready, and hi, Sandra. How are you? Margot. Hi, 61. L. Okay, so hi, Moonchild Pink. Nasha, I'm laughing at that stupid comment, Margot. Hi, Christine. Okay, so hi, Deborah Barron. Good to see you. Why wait so long to call the police? I know. Hi, Rich. How are you? Hi, Ashley Vestal. Hi, Easily Distracted. Good to see you. Hi, anybody that I missed. Hi, Trekking. So is there anything else anybody wants to talk about regarding this before we go to the Shanna Gardner stuff and more interviews and stuff with them? I don't know, but that's what it is. It's a lot. It hasn't been released by law enforcement. Some stuff circulating around in Facebook groups and stuff like that. Okay, so let's go to, and anybody that, if the membership link isn't working with Nightbot, all you have to do to join the membership is go to the channel and there's a little thing and it says join. And you just click on that, or in every single video description, there's the link to join the membership there. There's a web address if anybody needs that, because I don't know what's going on with Nightbot. He's not listening. I think a lot of Nightbots are not acting right, so I'll have to get on him when I can. All right, let me go to the next thing here. Okay, and I think we were... deal. We talked about the deal interview. I think that was the last interview we went through. Then I was falling asleep. No, we went through Henry Tenen. Okay, so then here, I think that was the end. Did we get through all the... I don't think we got all the way through Henry Tenen, and since it's so important, I'm going to start there. At approximately 7:13 hours, the interview with Tenen was conducted at CGIC at the SAO. The interview was audio and visually recorded. Also present during the interview was Detective William Paul Cullen. Detective Cullen went over the Miranda with Tenen, who signed the form and agreed to speak with us. During the first part of the interview, Tenen was asked about his driving habits and what car he was driving when he stopped earlier for DWLS. Tenen stated the Crown Vic he was driving today belongs to his roommate, Jeremy Ordway. He started using the car around February or March of this year. He said he mostly keeps the car at Potomac Avenue, but sometimes he goes to 8701 Old Kings Road. Tenen stated he took the Crown Vic to Drayton, Georgia to visit his brother in April. Tenen was asked if he has used any other vehicles. He stated that he was also driving a truck for about 8 months until it started having trouble. He was asked who owned the truck. He stated it was his father's. He stated his father passed away and left him the truck. He stated that he thinks he got the truck around the first of the year. He stated it was a 2004 F-150. He drove it until the truck stopped running. He stated he could not afford to get it fixed, so he sold it for parts. He stated the truck broke down in February. Tenen was shown a license plate reader hit from April that showed the truck at 103rd and Ricker. He stated that he kept the truck for about a month after he was put tires on the truck April 2nd. Make this a little bigger here. Tenen was asked if he ever had to have the truck towed anywhere. He stated he had it towed home in April when the oil pump went out. He stated he then sold the truck for parts in a cash deal. He did not know the person's name who purchased the truck. He was asked if he ever let anyone else drive his car. He stated the only one he ever let drive his car was Jimmy, but he was always with him. He was asked if he ever let anyone use his truck without him being in the truck. He stated Jeremy Ordway would be the only person he would ever let use his truck. He stated Jeremy had used the truck twice while he was at work, both times during the middle of the day. Tenen was shown a picture of the truck and asked where he was going on February 16th around 6:30 in the evening. He stated it was out at the beach. He was at a restaurant called Burnt Ends. He was asked where it was. He stated it was on the right off Beach Boulevard, approximately 4 blocks past Taco Lou. It should be noted, the only barbecue restaurant in the location is Mojo's Barbecue, located at 1500 Beach Boulevard. Tenen was advised the night he was at the beach there was someone murdered. He was asked who had his truck during the murder. He initially stated he did not know. He then asked what night it was again. He was asked if he was in the truck. He stated he was not in the truck. He was asked who had his truck. He stated he did not know. He was asked if Mario had his truck. He stated no. He was asked again what happened to his truck that night. He did not answer. He was then asked why his phone was off that night. He stated it must have went dead. He was asked to tell us what happened that night, and he said he really doesn't know. Henry was shown a picture of John Biggerstaff. He stated he used to drive a white Sierra. He was shown a picture of Mario Fernandez Saldana, and he said that was his landlord. Tenen stated he does not know anything that can help us. Put him away, motioning to a picture of Fernandez Saldana. Tenen was there. Tenen was told there was various items against him, and his cell phone was pinging in Jacksonville Beach. And after several denials and stating he did not know any information, he stated he did not know what happened involving his truck until detectives told him. He stated he drove to the truck to the restaurant. He stated he drove to the barbecue restaurant in Jacksonville Beach sometime after 5 p.m. He stated a key stays in the ignition and a key stays with him. He was asked if he saw a picture of the person who took his truck. Would he know them? He stated he would. He was asked where he was when the truck was taken. He stated he was standing in the doorway of the restaurant. Tenen stated the truck was parked in the parking lot of the restaurant near the main road, Beach Boulevard. He was asked how long he was in the restaurant for. He said he was not sure, but it was a pretty long time. He stated he had to walk to the plaza, the opposite side of Taco Lu, to get his truck. He stated a green SUV pulled up and told him he could find his truck in the plaza next to Taco Lu. He stated he walked down Beach Boulevard and made a left at a little store and got a bottle of water and a soda. He stated his truck was parked near the plaza on the other side of the restaurant. He stated that this was about 9:30, 10 o'clock. He was asked if the same person who asked to borrow the truck is the same person that took it from the parking lot. And he stated it was not. He stated the person that asked to borrow the truck was Danny. He said he and Danny used to do work for that fool, pointing to a picture of Fernandez Saldana. Detective Cullen touched the picture of Fernandez Saldana, saying, "This guy?" Tenen said, "Yeah." He stated he has known Danny for about 8 months prior to borrowing the truck. He stated Danny asked him to borrow the truck in January, but there were issues with his truck. He stated that Danny purchased a new battery and an alternator for the truck, which Tenen felt lock him in to help. Tenen stated he was told to meet at the restaurant and then told they would leave from there. He stated Danny knew there was a key in the ignition since they had used it to do landscaping jobs together. Tenen was asked if he used his secondary cell phone to call his cell that was left in the truck. He stated that he used his phone to call the phone in the truck because he could not find the truck. He stated he was upset with Danny because he did not bring the truck back in the time frame he told it because they knew him, but he did not actually see a person. He was asked if he recognized the tire was no longer in the back. He said yep. He was asked if he talked to Danny after that night. He stated no, because Danny did not bring his truck back and he does not have his phone number. He was asked if Danny was white or black. He was shown a picture of John Biggerstaff and asked if that was who came and got his truck. He said he did not think it was it as him. Tenen stated there isn't a whole lot he can tell us other than it was his truck and he is not driving the truck. He was asked if he was in the truck and he said no. He stated, all I know is Danny had my truck to move some tile or parchments or something, and that is it. He then stated Danny left his black Mazda at Potomac and took the truck from there. He stated, to the best of my knowledge, Danny had my truck. Henry stated, we, the police, have pictures of his truck and he want not in it. He was not in it. This is so terrible. He stated anything he say is going to be messed up because he can't say Fernandez Saldana took his truck. He said it was one of his rims and tires left at the crime scene, which was effed up. He then stated Danny used his truck to repost someone's car and Tenen did not want to participate, so he agreed to let him stay at the restaurant because he did not want to be involved. He said someone pulled up in a 2-door black Mazda. Tenen then stated that there is nothing else I can tell you. Detective Cullen asked Tenen what is his concern with telling us the truth. He stated his main concern is always about his kids and grandkids. He was asked if this has something to do with their safety. Tenen stated pretty much, and well-being, tenant stated. There isn't anything else I can give you, and I think I need an attorney. Okay, Monday, August 22nd, 2022. While conducting an interview with John Biggerstaff, he agreed to submit a sample of his DNA. After putting on appropriate PPE, I used 2 sterile cotton swabs to collect saliva via buccal swabs and place the swabs back in their original packaging and then into the evidence envelope. The envelope was sealed and placed into property as evidence. I met with Harry on Wednesday, August 24th, 2022, Henry Tenen at the Duval County Pre-Trial Detention Center in an effort to collect a DNA sample. Present during the encounter was myself, Detective Corporal Y. Santiago, number 781, and Tenen's attorney, Al Chipperfield. I presented the search warrant for Tenen's review and handed a copy to his attorney. After putting on appropriate PPE, I used 2 sterile cotton swabs to collect saliva via buccal swabs and placed the swabs back into their original packaging and then into the evidence envelope. The envelope was sealed and placed into property as evidence. Wednesday, August 24th, 2022, at approximately 12:30 hours, Alfredo Viguila Fontanez met with Sergeant K.O. Shackelford and I at the police station for an interview. Mr. Viguila primarily speaks Spanish and his English is limited, so I translated. The interview was audio-video recorded and was copied to a disc and placed into property as evidence. Mr. Viguila is a mobile mechanic and his business card was in Henry Tenen's possession. He has not worked on any Ford 150 trucks and only has worked on a white 2001 Ford 150 in the last 6 months. He has only worked on a green or blue Ford Crown Victoria. He was shown multiple photographs of Henry Tenen, John Biggerstaff, Mario Fernandez, Saldana, and Daniel Holmes. He did not recognize anyone from the photographs. He was unable to provide any information in regards to this case. There is no further information to add to the report. On August 31st, 2022, I was contacted by Detective C. Johns in order to complete touch DNA swabs on a set of Ford truck keys that had been previously submitted to the Jacksonville Beach property room. I responded to the property room and retrieved the keys from Property Officer K. Mobley, and I processed the item at the property room. I collected 4 swabs using sterile gloves, including a control swab. They were all placed in separate bags and submitted to the property room as evidence, and the keys were sealed in the original evidence bag and returned to the Property Officer Mobley. No further information at this time. I received a return from the Computer Forensics Unit at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. They processed Jared Bridegan's work Apple MacBook for any evidence related to this case. They did not note anything that matches their keyword search. The report and CD of the download will be attached in the media section of this report, and the original will be placed in the property as evidence. The laptop, evidence entry number 130, and power cord will be placed back into property. September 6, 2022, at approximately 1700 hours, Detective Burrell conducted a search for Henry Tenen's truck in the vicinity of 5239 Potomac Avenue. Several areas were identified by the location data provided by T-Mobile. Contact was made with Clarence Reuben Broderick, I think that's supposed to say, at 3450 Old Kings Road. Broderick had several vehicles in various states of disrepair on the property. Broderick confirmed he was a mechanic and runs this business through the location. Broderick was asked if he worked on any Ford F-150s recently. Broderick stated that he worked on a blue F-150 earlier this year. Broderick began to describe the owner of the vehicle in great detail. Broderick stated the owner of the vehicle was a tall black male who always had his dog with him. Broderick stated the owner advised him he recently got the truck from his father, who passed away in Georgia. Broderick informed the owner the motor needed to be replaced, but the owner disagreed. The owner wanted to change the oil pump because he thought this would fix the problem. These details were confirmed by Jeremy Ordway and Janie Deal. Broderick advised the last time he saw the owner, he was driving a white Crown Vic. Broderick stated, after the truck sat on his property for a while, the owner drove the truck down to Twins Grocery. According to Broderick, the truck sat there for an unknown length of time, and he does not know where it is at this time. Due to all of the above details matching different statements by multiple individuals, it is believed the individual is Henry Tannen. Broderick would go on to explain that Tannen was referred to him by his wife's cousin, Tron. Broderick was not able to give his name, but he provided a phone number. I will attempt to identify Tron in order to conduct an interview. At approximately 14:34 hours on September 14th, 2022, Tannen's cellular phone was shipped to Cellbrite Advanced Services. Cellbrite Advanced Services is located at 7 Campus Drive, Suite 210, Parsippany, New Jersey. The cellular phone was unable to be downloaded using conventional Cellbrite forensic downloads. The signed search warrant was submitted with the cellular phone. Monday, August 22nd, 2022, at approximately 900 hours, contact was made with John Biggerstaff at his residence located at 2180 Derringer Circle West, Jacksonville, Florida. Biggerstaff was asked if he'd speak with detectives in reference to this case. Biggerstaff advised he was late for work and he would come to the Jacksonville Beach Police Department after he got off of work. Biggerstaff arrived at the Jacksonville Beach Police Department at approximately 1840 hours to conduct the interview. At approximately 1843 hours, the interview was conducted in interview room 89. The interview was audio and visually recorded. Also present for his interview was Detective C. Johns and Detective Sergeant C. Young. Biggerstaff voluntarily conducted the interview. Biggerstaff was advised of his Miranda rights from a pre-printed departmental form. Biggerstaff verbally acknowledged he understood and signed the form stating the same. Biggerstaff began by describing his new job at TDH Christian Academy, where he is a JROTC instructor. Biggerstaff would continue speaking about his 22-year naval career. Biggerstaff also briefly spoke about time as a reserve officer with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Biggerstaff stated that he left the Navy once his daughter graduated from Sandalwood High School. Biggerstaff advised his daughter graduated in 2008. Biggerstaff would go on to explain his son is currently a police officer with Arlington Police Department in Texas. He described his son as a former SWAT sniper and currently in the narcotics unit. Biggerstaff described when he met his current while he was stationed in Spain. Biggerstaff has been married to her for 34 years. His current wife, I'm sure that's what that means. Biggerstaff would go to further explain his son and how he ended up in Texas. Biggerstaff advised his son played college football in Melbourne, Florida. After leaving football, he decided he would get a criminal justice degree and attended University of North Florida. Biggerstaff advised at the time he was a reserve officer with JSO. After graduating, Biggerstaff's son decided he would go to the Arlington Police Department. While describing this, Biggerstaff advised his son was in Jacksonville in February for his wedding. Biggerstaff would go to describe Mario Saldana. Biggerstaff stated a month and a half to 2 months ago, Saldana informed him Jacksonville Beach Police Department had been talking to his tenants at 5139 Potomac Avenue. Bigger staff stated Saldana was friends with his daughter while she was in the Army. Excuse me. Bigger staff stated Saldana was friends with his daughter while she was in high school. Saldana and Bigger staff became workout partners for years before Saldana left for the Army. Bigger staff mentioned Saldana asked him to help him in a pool at his parents' house, which was being rented out prior to him leaving for the Army. Bigger staff advised when Saldana came back from the Army, he began to work out with him again at that time. Saldana informed Bigger staff of his head injury from the Army, according to Bigger staff. According to Bigger staff, Saldana suffers from migraines. Bigger staff advised Saldana had several contracts maintaining gym equipment at this time. Bigger staff advised prior to COVID in 2020, he started a handyman business. Bigger staff stated he mentioned the business to Saldana, and he stated he had his contacts through the gyms. Bigger staff stated Saldana would act as a middleman for his business, and once COVID happened, he lost his business. Bigger staff was asked about the statement he made earlier in reference to Saldana's tenants being interviewed. Saldana contacted Bigger staff and gave him a courtesy call to tell him he might get questioned. Bigger staff went on to explain he had been arrested over a horrible accusation in 2016. Bigger staff stated while on probation, he made some bad decisions and ended up in prison. Bigger staff stated Saldana gave him a courtesy call because he was a drug addict. Bigger staff would go to explain that he was pissed off when he found out his son was going into the narcotics unit. Bigger staff advised Saldana stated the police have talked to everyone he knows. Hold on a minute, I'm looking for something. Okay. Maybe I don't have it. Okay, Bigger staff went on to explain he's currently doing remodel work at 5139 Potomac Avenue. Bigger staff was asked if he knew the residents at this address. Bigger staff advised he did not really know the current residents. Bigger staff stated he believes the current resident is in trouble and believes he's going to jail soon. Bigger staff advised if the current tenant moves out, he would move in the first year for $1,000 a month. The rent would go up every year after until rent on par with the houses in the area. Bigger staff has to do the remodel work for the deal to take place. Bigger staff began talking about his mismanagement of money and previous evictions. Bigger staff advised that he was suffering from a head injury and began to have accidents on himself and would wake up in various parts of the city. Bigger staff would go to explain he did work previously on the Potomac address when Henry Tenon resided there. He mentioned that Tenon worked at a pallet company. Bigger staff stated he quit coming around when Tenon pulled out a bow and arrow. Bigger staff advised he did not want to be around any weapons due to his felony conviction. Bigger staff advised he has a year or two since he has seen Tenon. Bigger staff was shown pictures of Saldana, Ordway, and Tenon. When shown a photo of Ordway, he advised he did not know who he was. Bigger staff later said the picture of Ordway may be the current resident. It should be noted that Ordway is the current resident at Potomac. Bigger staff was shown a picture of Tenon's truck, and he said he had only ever known Tenon to have a bicycle. Bigger staff advised he has not seen Tenon's current vehicle, the Crown Vic. Bigger staff began describing his knowledge of Shanna Gardner. Bigger staff advised he made a comment about how perfect Gardner's butt was, and that was the last time they talked about Gardner. Bigger staff advised Saldana recently came to him and advised he was getting a divorce. Bigger staff advised Saldana described Gardner as being an ex-Mormon and spoke about the court issues between the victim and Gardner. Biggerstaff advised he did not know Saldana and Gardner were even married for a year. Biggerstaff would go on to describe the first time him and his wife met Gardner. Biggerstaff stated they went to the beach. After the beach, Saldana invited them to go back to the house for a barbecue. Biggerstaff's wife did not want to go, and this was the last time he saw Gardner. Biggerstaff would go on to describe his conversations with Saldana and Gardner about this divorce. Biggerstaff advised Saldana reason for the divorce was over a disagreement with how to raise the children. Biggerstaff would further describe the issues with the victim and the constant court appearances. Saldana informed Biggerstaff he was going to buy a toy hauler to live in. Biggerstaff was shown a picture of Tennant's truck and informed the truck was in Jacksonville Beach the night of the victim's murder. Biggerstaff advised he didn't know about the murder until one day Saldana spoke about how hard it has been on the kids. Biggerstaff advised he did not even know where the area was until about 2 months ago when he was driving down JTB. Biggerstaff was asked why Tennant would have involvement in the victim's murder. Biggerstaff stated he did not know Tennant other than him talking about his family having property in Georgia. Biggerstaff advised he has never even seen Tennant pissed off. Biggerstaff has never known Tennant to have any weapons other than the bow. Biggerstaff would go on to describe never seeing Mario want to harm anyone. Biggerstaff was asked if he has ever had any interest in 10mm handguns. Biggerstaff advised he has a 10mm handgun while he was part of a hunt club in Fargo, Georgia. Biggerstaff advised this gun was listed after his arrest. Biggerstaff stated his son inventoried all his weapons and took them from the house in 2016. Biggerstaff purchased the 10mm for bear protection. Biggerstaff was asked what brand the gun was, and he advised probably a Glock. Biggerstaff advised he owned a .40 caliber Glock he used for backup firearm. Biggerstaff stated his son currently uses the gun and that his son took away most of his guns. Biggerstaff advised most of the guns were family heirlooms. Look how they spell heirlooms. Biggerstaff advised his son does not have the 10mm gun. Biggerstaff was asked why he was searching for 10mm Glocks on 1/26/2022, and Biggerstaff paused and thought for 15 seconds and stated no. Biggerstaff stated he does not buy or do anything with guns because he is a felon. Biggerstaff was informed that Tennant's cell phone was in Jacksonville Beach on February 16, 2022, the night of the murder. Biggerstaff was also informed Saldana and his cell phone was turned off the night of the murder at the same time. Biggerstaff was asked why the phones were off, and he advised he did not know. Biggerstaff tried to explain Google history is not accurate. Biggerstaff stated that he turns his phone off all the time. Biggerstaff advised he does not remember having a conversation with Saldana prior to or after the murder. Biggerstaff stated he does not have a recollection of February 16, 2022. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Wait a second. Where the heck? What just happened? Google history is not accurate. Got that. Biggerstaff stated he turns his phone off all the time. Biggerstaff advised he does not remember having a conversation with Saldana prior to or after the murder. Biggerstaff stated he does not have a recollection of February 16, 2022. Biggerstaff advised he does not leave the house very often. Biggerstaff was asked for consent to retrieve a DNA sample and a search of his cell phone. Biggerstaff consented both verbally and by signature to both consent forms. Biggerstaff gave a buccal swab collected by Detective C. Johns. Biggerstaff also gave his cell phone to Detective C. Johns, who immediately took the phone to the JSO Computer Forensic Department to be downloaded. Biggerstaff was asked further about the 10mm handgun he previously owned. Biggerstaff advised he originally bought the 10mm handgun for protection from bears while hunting. This was prior to his arrest. Biggerstaff continued to speak about hunting and the bears that he would see while hunting. Biggerstaff was asked what kind of ammunition he would use for his 10mm handgun, and Biggerstaff stated he does not remember and advised he would purchase it from Academy Sports on Kenman Boulevard. Biggerstaff was asked again where his firearms went to after he had them inventoried after his arrest. Biggerstaff was asked if he had to give his guns away or if they were confiscated by the state. Biggerstaff stated it was a mixture of crap. Biggerstaff advised his son, daughter, and wife were involved with it. Biggerstaff further stated he thought he would get his guns back because he thought the charges against him were BS. Biggerstaff further advised that his son was forced to give up his crap. Biggerstaff was arrested. Biggerstaff was asked about communications he had with Saldana the night of the murder. Biggerstaff offered to allow detectives to look through the phone. The phone was subsequently downloaded and no messages were present. The communication with Saldana had been deleted up to May 2022. Biggerstaff further advised he has a bad memory due to injuries. Biggerstaff continued to describe situations where he has memory loss issues. Biggerstaff was again asked again how often he comes to Jacksonville Beach. Biggerstaff advised he comes to Jacksonville Beach often. Biggerstaff further advised he does not know where Jacksonville Beach starts and ends. Biggerstaff stated he typically comes to Jacksonville Beach for the 4th of July. Biggerstaff advised he does not know how many times he has been at Jacksonville Beach this year. Biggerstaff further stated maybe a dozen or more times. Biggerstaff began to further describe his relationship with Saldana. Biggerstaff stated he has known Saldana before Saldana joined the military. Biggerstaff was shown a calendar of his communications with Saldana. Biggerstaff was asked about his communications with Saldana the night before the murder. Biggerstaff stated the conversation was of a personal nature. Biggerstaff advised he and his wife were swingers. Oh boy. Biggerstaff is a swinger. This is great. Biggerstaff advised he does not know why Saldana was at his house. Biggerstaff was asked if there had been a reason Saldana and him were together driving around Jacksonville. Biggerstaff advised he does not know. It must have been to go to the Potomac. Biggerstaff advised Saldana helped him move some scrap, but he believed it was in July. Biggerstaff could not advise which salvage yard he took his truck to, but he thought it may be on the west side. Biggerstaff was asked again about Saldana contacting him in reference to the police. Biggerstaff advised Saldana was giving him a courtesy call because he was previously arrested and his drug use. Biggerstaff was asked further about Tenon and his truck. Biggerstaff advised Tenon only ever had a bicycle. Biggerstaff advised he has been to Potomac during the last 2 to 3 months. Biggerstaff stated in that time he has not seen the truck in question. Biggerstaff was asked when was the last time he spoke to Saldana. Biggerstaff advised Saldana came to his school today. Biggerstaff advised Saldana was inquiring about a job with the JROTC program. Biggerstaff was further described his wife and him as swingers. Biggerstaff advised he believed Saldana was also a swinger, but Gardner was not. He swings, she doesn't. Biggerstaff further described the situation when his guns were taken from him. Biggerstaff advised he inventoried all of his guns in 2016 and does not know where they went. Biggerstaff advised the Middle District of Florida informed him and his family everything had to be out of the house due to his son had to get rid of his bow and arrow. Due to this, his son had to get rid of his bow and arrow. Biggerstaff continued to advise he had no knowledge of the murder. End of interview. Subpoena returns were received for the following: John Biggerstaff, June 15th to August 23rd. Jeremy Ordway for the same time period. I also received a letter from First Premier Bank, one of Henry Tennant's credit cards. The letter stated, "They do not comply with out-of-state subpoenas. All items have been attached." On Monday, October 17th, 2022, Detective Sergeant Young requested that I respond to the police property lot regarding processing a Ford F-150 truck. The truck was stored in a secured lot and was covered with a blue tarp. Once the blue tarp was removed, I saw the doors were taped with evidence tape to ensure the chain of custody. All the tape was intact, leading me to believe no one had entered the vehicle after it was secured in the property lot. As the evidence technicians unit supervisor, my role in this investigation was provide support to the investigating evidence technician, detectives, and other investigators while the truck was being processed. The interior cab of the truck was packed with boxes, paperwork, and tools. It was determined the most efficient way to document these items was to designate sections of the cab, front and back seats. These sections were numbered with tent markers. I collected items from the designated sections and placed them on a nearby table where investigators could determine the individual evidentiary value of each item. Items that were identified as not having evidentiary value at this point in the investigation were photographed and returned to the cab of the truck. On Wednesday, October 19th, 2022, I returned to the vehicle to assist with documenting and collecting the vehicle's spare tire. Okay, that's that part. So we've gone over two huge parts of the discovery there. Let's see. Whew. Okay, let's see here. So let me get over here to heck is my thing here. Very strange. Hold on 1 second. Okay. There we go. Okay. Okay, I've got this now. 1 second. Just want to see if there's anything. So I think we did those 2 indexes. We did those 2 indexes. What got more? Hang on, let me see. So that index. Just the other index. $139, 153. All right, let's see what else. There's so much more. So much more. Okay. All right, here. On October 6, 2022, I responded to 5239 Potomac Avenue, Jacksonville, Florida, for an evidence technician in reference to a search warrant. Upon my arrival after the residence was cleared, I walked through the residence prior to taking photographs. In the driveway was a red 2-door convertible with a Florida tag and a black truck with a Florida tag. To the left of the garage was a small entryway, and once I entered through the entranceway, I entered the front door, which opened up to a living room area with a dark-colored leather-type sectional couch. To the left was a small hallway that had 2 bedrooms, a linen closet, and a bathroom. The door to the left was a bedroom labeled Room A. The next door was a linen closet. The next door was a bedroom labeled Room B. And the last door was a bathroom, also labeled Room B. I exited the small hallway back into the living room. I walked into another living room, which contained a gray couch, a television, and stand, boxes, marijuana, pipe, beer cans, and other items. This opened up to the kitchen. Both living rooms and the kitchen were labeled Room C. To the right of the kitchen opened up to a laundry area with washer and dryer. The room had a door that gave access to the backyard and a separate door to the garage. The room was labeled D. There was a small hallway that led to a bathroom and a bedroom. The bathroom and bedroom were labeled Room E. The garage was labeled Room F. I took overall photographs of the outside except the backyard due to an aggressive dog currently located in the backyard. After completing my overall photographs, I used the Oscar 360 to capture overall photographs of the outside and the inside. Once the overall photographs were taken, I labeled the rooms using A through F. Each officer that searched the assigned room signed the label for the room and has been placed into property. All items collected were photographed prior to being collected. The bong, Room A, 6 THC vape cartridges, Room A, vapes with cartridges, Room A, 2 vape cartridges in the car, marijuana in the car, given to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, K. Graham, with CPR unit for pending charges. Evidence number 266, a dark blue Motorola cell phone given to Corporal Y. Santiago. After I transported it to the Jacksonville Beach Police Department, I took additional photographs of most of the items prior to submitting them into property. I completed a control swab and took a swab from the brown zip-up hoodie jacket. All items collected were placed into the evidence technician room and they were sealed until 10/7/2022. I conducted a field test of the marijuana and the residence was both tested presumptive positive. I weighed the marijuana and took photographs. The following are the items collected from each room on 10/6/2022. Room A, a brown zip-up hoodie jacket, 2 cell phones, 2 laptops, a bong, papers, 6 THC vape cartridges, 2 vapes with cartridges. Room B, bedroom, a ZTE touchscreen cell phone, a ZTE flip phone. Room C, living room, marijuana pipe, Cal 320 revolver, ammo, and papers. Room F, the garage, 1 pair of brown boots, 2 leather welder-style jackets, a camouflage jacket, a cell phone, numerous papers, F-150 paperwork, the red car, 2 THC vape cartridges, and marijuana. On 10/7/2022, I conducted a controlled swab. I swabbed the cool pad, cell phone, and brown boots. The papers were reviewed by Detective C. Johns, and I photographed certain papers instructed by Detective Johns. I also received the property I released to the JSO Officer Graham. Detective Johns returned the property to me, which I placed into the property as evidence. It should be noted, prior to handling all evidence, I changed my gloves each time. This concludes my involvement with this case. These are all the forms for each of those things that he collected. That's why I'm going through them. Thursday, October 6th, 2022, at approximately 9:18 hours, I responded to 5239 Potomac Avenue, Jacksonville, Florida, to assist with a search warrant. I assisted by searching room A. Okay. I transported property, blue Motorola, to the Crime Gun Intelligence Unit, and I gave it to Detective Lamont at approximately 15:43 hours. At approximately 16:15 hours, Detective Lamont requested I take it to the JSO Computer Forensics Unit, along with a consent to search form signed by Jeremy Ordway. I dropped the phone off at approximately 16:35 hours. There is no further information. Okay. Sorry, I'm taking my iron and my... I'll take this. Okay. Can you get me the bottle of vitamin C there, please?
The where?
The bottle of vitamin C. To take with my iron. At approximately 1200 hours on October 5th, 2022, the search warrant for Henry Tennant and Jeremy Ordway's residence, located at 5239 Potomac Avenue, was signed by Judge S. Mitchell. Thank you. At approximately 900 hours, the search warrant for 5239 Potomac Avenue was conducted on October 6, 2022. Upon serving the search warrant, 4 individuals were found present in the residence, which were Jeremy Ordway, Norma Davila, Devin Hightower, and Dane Haid. Were found in the residence. While the residence was searched, I conducted recorded interviews on scene with Davila, Hightower, and Haid. Interview with Norma. Approximately 10:09 hours, the interview with Davila was conducted on scene in the back of an unmarked patrol car. Also present for the interview was ATF Special Agent A. Simmons. Davila voluntarily conducted the interview. Davila began the interview describing how she came to live at the residence. Davila advised about a month and a half ago, Jeremy Ordway rented Tennant's former room to her and her husband. Davila advised her husband's name was Dane Haid. Davila stated she originally met Ordway at Domino's, where they all work. Davila stated Devin Hightower was also currently living in his truck, where the truck was parked in the driveway. Davila went on to explain she heard Tenon, Ordway's former roommate, was currently in jail in reference to a murder in Jacksonville Beach. Davila named Tenon as Henry, which she heard from Ordway. Davila went on to explain Ordway sold Tenon's car to their general manager, Sean Tucker. Davila advised Ordway was not sure if Tenon was going to get out of jail because of the investigation. Davila went on to explain that when she moved into the room, there was nothing in the room but some underwear. Davila advised she heard Ordway say he moved Tenon's belongings out of the room. Davila stated there was a bunch of stuff in the garage, but she was unsure if they belonged to Tenon. Davila advised an individual named Mario owned the house, and he was selling the house. Yeah, except for underwear. Davila stated he was selling it to get money. Davila stated that she has talked to Mario several times while he was here working on the house. Davila went on to explain she felt Ordway had something on their landlord. Davila described a situation where Mario came to the house to get Ordway to sign a lease. Ordway did not want to sign the lease. Davila advised Ordway stated, "He don't want me to call such and such about something." Davila did not know if this comment had anything to do with this murder. Davila went on to explain Ordway tore the lease up when Saldana gave it to him. Davila advised that this interaction with Saldana occurred in the second week of September. Davila advised she has been in talks with Saldana with a rent-to-own agreement with Saldana for the 5239 Potomac Avenue address. Davila went on to explain potential buyers for the house have visited the property over the last couple of weeks. Davila stated she does not know of any firearms in the house. Davila's husband asked Ordway about the guns in the house. Ordway stated the house was protected, but he didn't mention any specific firearms. Davila was asked to further describe the incident where Ordway tore the lease agreement up. Davila stated her husband described Saldana as being afraid of Ordway. Davila could not describe any specifics as to why Saldana was afraid of Ordway. Davila was asked if she knew what Tenon was involved in. Ordway mentioned Tenon was involved in the Jacksonville Beach murder investigation. Ordway mentioned he believed Tenon would not be involved in this murder. Davila advised Ordway never mentioned going to Jacksonville Beach. Davila stated she has never seen Ordway leave Potomac with Saldana. Davila advised she has never heard anyone mention Tenon's blue Ford F-150. Davila went on to explain the general manager of Domino's purchased the Crown Victoria Tenon was driving. The general manager advised there was stuff belonging to Tenon in the vehicle. The general manager advised he was going to bring the belongings by Potomac. End of interview. Okay, and then Hightower at approximately 10:39 hours, the interview with Hightower was conducted on scene in the back of an unmarked patrol car. Also present was ATF Special Agent M. Stengel. Hightower voluntarily conducted the interview. Hightower advised he had been living in his truck for the last 3 weeks. Hightower stated he has been staying in his truck in the driveway for the last couple of days. Ordway allowed Hightower to park his truck in the driveway. Hightower described Ordway as an alcoholic and an undercover racist. That's nice. Hightower stated Ordway makes comments trying to make Dan Hade angry because he is an African American. Hightower advised the first time he had heard anything about a murder investigation was the morning of the search warrant. Hightower advised he has not heard Ordway speak about any involvement with this murder investigation. Hightower advised he has never seen anyone going through the belongings in the garage. Interview with Dane Hade. At approximately 10:56, the interview with Hade was conducted on scene in the back of a marked patrol car. Also present for the interview was ATF Special Agent M. Stengel. Haid voluntarily conducted the interview. Haid advised he has been living in the residence for about a month. Haid advised Saldana has not been to the house in the last 2 weeks. Haid was asked about the incident involving Ordway and Saldana with the lease. Haid advised Ordway did tear up the lease agreement Saldana brought over. Haid stated he did not know anything further about the lease situation. Haid advised he has no knowledge of Tenon or his involvement in this murder investigation. Haid stated that when he moved into Tenon's room, there was only a bed in the room. Now, isn't that funny? There was only a bed, and she said there was only underwear. Haid advised the left side of the garage contained his items, and the right side could possibly be Tenon's. Haid further stated he did not have any knowledge of the murder investigation, and that was the end of the interview. On 10/10/2022, at approximately 9:33 hours, I went to the Jacksonville Beach property room located at 1460 Shetter Avenue to process the tan black boots item 262. Prior to opening the bag, I photographed the bag and the seal that was on it. After opening the bag, I removed both boots using a sterile razor blade and removed and labeled 3 pieces from both boots. Each piece I used a new field test kit to test for the possibility of blood. The results were negative. After testing each piece, I changed my gloves, labeled the area, and documented with a photograph. I placed the boots back in the original package and sealed the opening I made. I placed the sterile razor blade and packaged into property. I attached the photographs to this report. While with Jeremy Ordway, his cell phone evidence item 266 was returned to him. He signed a property sheet indicating a receipt. I have attached a copy to this report. On 10/13/2022, at approximately 12:55 hours, I went to the Jacksonville Beach Police property room, and he went there to process property item number 17, a beer can. I requested the property item after removing it from its original package. I observed the can had already been processed. I placed the item back in its original package, sealed the package, and dated the package along with my ID number and initials. At approximately 1600 hours on October 14, 2022, financial records were received from Henry A. Tenon. A review of the records found Tenon paid for auto transport on 6/8/2022. A review of the phone records found that Tenon was communicating with Rivers Auto Transport on 6/7/2022. Cellular location data was compared to the day and time the truck was transported. The cellular location data identified 1705 University Street in Jacksonville, Florida, as a possible location. ATF Special Agent Simmons drove to the address to inspect further. Upon arrival, Special Agent Simmons found Tenon's blue 2004 F-150 bearing Georgia tag. The vehicle was located in the back of the yard, which is not fenced in. The truck and tag could clearly be seen from the street. Detective Lamont obtained a search warrant for the premises where the truck was located. Copy of the warrant was given to the resident Jimmy Clay Jones Jr. Mr. Jones also provided verbal consent for officers to search his yard and remove the Ford F-150. Mr. Jones, stated he and Tenon had been friends between 10 and 15 years. He stated Tenon would regularly come to his residence with beer and they would hang out and drink. He denied knowing Fernandez, Ordway, or Biggerstaff. Jones stated a few months ago that Tenen asked him if he could store his truck, that blue 2004 F-150, for a couple of months until he could get enough money to get it fixed. Jones agreed, and Tenen picked him up with the white Crown Victoria. They drove to an unknown location where Tenen drove the truck and Jones followed him in the Crown Vic. He stated the truck broke down on his street, so they used the Crown Vic to push the truck into Jones's yard. Jones stated he attempted to call Tenen several times to get him to remove the truck, but the calls kept going to voicemail. The truck was photographed in place and sealed before being towed to the JBPD property room so that it could be processed for evidence relating to the homicide. A further review of Tenen's PNC checking statements revealed that he received 3 checks from First Choice Home Rentals, LLC, which is owned by Mario Fernandez, Saldana, and Shanna Gardner. Check 0027 for $2,000, check 0028 for $3,000 were dated 3/8/2022, and check 029 for $5,000 dated 4/4/2022. The 3 checks were deposited into Tenen's account and records will be attached to this report. On 10/14/2022, I responded to 1705 University Street in reference for an evidence technician. Upon my arrival, I met with Detective C. Johns and Detective Lamont. The detectives informed me there was a search for the house. Near the back fence, I found a blue tan Ford F-150. It appeared to have been there for some time due to the grass being higher around the tires and under the truck. I photographed the truck in place. The outside of the residence, sealed the truck, photographed the truck once it was removed by the tow truck. It should be noted the vehicle appeared to be locked. No entry was made. I looked around the truck, in the bed of the truck, and through the windows. The truck appeared to have some front bumper damage. 2 different models of tires, a beer can, a kitchen knife, and other items in the bed of the truck. Inside appeared to have some tools in the back and a shoebox for steel toe boots. When the tow truck driver arrived, he did not enter the truck. Once the truck was removed, it was dark outside and photographs were taken where the truck was located in the yard. The truck was taken to the Jacksonville Beach Police Department property located at 1460 Shetler Avenue. Shutter Avenue. Detective Lamont and Detective B. Burrell placed a tarp over the vehicle until it was ready to be processed on Monday, October 17, 2022. All photographs that were taken will be placed on a disc and submitted to property as evidence. On October 17th, 2022, at approximately 9:30 hours, I responded to 1460 Shutter Avenue, JBPD property room to a process of blue tan Ford F-150. I informed the property officer I would process the truck and requested the vehicle keys. I took photographs of the truck. It was covered by a blue tarp. Once the tarp was removed, I took more overall photographs of the vehicle. The vehicle was still sealed from 10/14/2022. Once all the photographs were taken, Detective Lamont read the search warrant and also a corrected search warrant for the location of the vehicle. Okay. The vehicle was still sealed from 10/14. Once all the photographs were taken, Detective Lamont read the search warrant and also a corrected search warrant for the location of the vehicle. Once this was completed, Sergeant L. Smith and I began to photograph the vehicle with scales. We began with the truck bed. It had a beer can, 2 bottles of water, a latch, 4 screws, 2 bungee cords, other car parts, a kitchen knife, a pair of socks, and leaves. There were markings on the bed of the truck which appeared to have been where a toolbox was once located. Once the bed of the truck was photographed and processed, I collected those bungee cords, socks, the latch, and 4 screws. The tailgate handle was swabbed. I unlocked the vehicle's driver's side door. I then unlocked all of the vehicle doors and opened all of the doors to photograph the inside of the vehicle. Once all the photographs were taken, I labeled the driver's side door A, the back driver's side passenger B, the back passenger side C, the front passenger side D. I took multiple swabs from inside the vehicle. The inside of the vehicle was separated in section by numbers. All items were removed from the numbered sections. Myself and detectives reviewed through the items. Items containing evidentiary value were collected by myself. All of the seats were processed with the trace evidence vacuum. I used 1 filter on the entire front seats. I used a separate filter on the back seats. Once the truck was searched and all items were reviewed, the items were placed back in the truck. I sealed the truck. At the time, I did not realize the driver's door and the rear passenger were not locked. Both of these seals were broken to lock the doors. I resealed both doors, writing my initials, date, and ID number. All items collected, swabs, and photographs were placed in the property room for secured storage until I was able to place the items into property. I placed all of the items collected into property on 10/19/2022. The filters from the trace evidence vacuum have not been placed into property and are currently secure in the evidence technician room at the Jacksonville Beach Police Department. Okay. This is going to be all the stuff they took in there. Okay. On 10/19/2022, I arrived at 1460 Shutter Avenue, Jacksonville Police Department property room. I processed the spare tire under the truck. The spare tire was already lowered. With the assistance from Sergeant L. Smith, we unhooked the spare tire, placed it on a table to process. I swabbed multiple areas of the tire. I collected the stem valve cap and photographed the tire. All swabs, stem valve cap photographs, and the tire were placed into property. There was a small tire in the bed of the truck with 2 plugs in it. That tire was photographed. Scales were placed near the plugs and photographed. That tire was collected and placed into property. I checked out property item number 8, the tire that was collected at the original scene. I reviewed the tire and the indentations. I resealed the package and placed the tire back into property. The report was generated to place the trace evidence filters from the 3M vacuum into property. On Monday, October 17th, 2022, Detective Sergeant Young requested I respond to the police property lot regarding processing a Ford F-150 truck. The truck was stored in a secured lot and was covered with a blue tarp. Once the blue tarp was removed, I saw the doors were labeled with evidence tape to ensure the chain of custody. All the tape was intact, leading me to believe no one had entered the vehicle after it was secured in the property lot. As the evidence technician unit supervisor, my role in this investigation was provide support to the investigating evidence technician, detectives, and other investigators while the truck is being processed. The interior cab of the truck was packed with boxes, paperwork, and tools. It was determined the most efficient way to document these items was to designate sections of the cab, front and back seats. These sections were numbered with tent markers. I collected items from the designated sections and placed it on a nearby table where investigators could determine the individual evidentiary value of each item. Items that were identified as not having evidentiary value at this point in the investigation were photographed and returned to the cab of the truck. On Wednesday, October 19th, 2022, I returned to the vehicle to assist with documenting and collecting the vehicle's spare tire. October 25th, 2022, this report is being generated. A computer forensics report from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office was received October 5th, 2022 for Bridegan's personal computer and 2 portable storage devices. The written report will be attached. The disk will be placed in the property. There was nothing of note found. A disk was provided by JSO Computer Forensics for the Motorola belonging to Jeremy Ordway. He provided written consent to search the device. On May 12, 2022, Detective Christopher Johns delivered 2 additional Apple computers and 2 external portable hard drives related to the case with a submission form to the Computer Forensics Investigations Unit. Legal search authority was established, accompanied search warrant. I had previously spoken with Detective Johns on 3/16/2022 via phone in records, sweetheart. Sorry, via phone in regards to the submitted CFI analysis request form, which contained a summary of his investigation. I had conferred with Detective Johns regarding the matter and discussed investigative avenues and potential digital evidence being sought in the investigation. Detective Johns requested any emails, picture message, text correspondence, and web search history. In addition, Detective Johns requested any other data that may assist with the investigation. The computer forensic exam began on 9/15/2022 when I began the acquisition process of the hard drive contained within the iMac. The hard drive from the iMac was forensically imaged with a physical write blocking device to prevent any writes to the original hard drive. The iMac only had 1 hard drive. There was no other storage medium physically attached to the iMac. In addition to Cellbrite Digital Collector, Forensic Toolkit Imager was utilized to obtain a post-acquisition hash value of the hard drive. It is important to note that the write blocker prevents any of the data on the source drive from being modified, subsequently compressed. Expert witness forensic computer files, commonly referred to as E01, was created. Additional post-acquisition hash values of both the source driver and the E01 were computed. The pre-acquisition and post-acquisition hash calculations matched, meaning that the source drive was not altered during the imaging process and that the E01 is an identical forensic image of the source drive. As at the conclusion of the forensic examination and the post-acquisition hash values, meaning that the evidence was not altered during the examination process, the resulting forensic image was then examined for evidence. From here on out, the forensic image will be referred to as the hard drive for simplicity. At no time was the original evidence or image altered. Any changes were virtual in nature as provided by forensic software for the purpose of viewing, examining, and extracting data for evidence. Findings. The Apple iMac Pro computer was found to contain the Mac OS X version 10.13.6 operating system. The operating system was installed September 20th, 2017. There are 3 user-generated accounts were discovered on this computer and given the username of Kids, with the full name of Kids created 9/20/2017. Jared Work, with the full name of Jared Work. Family, with the full name of Bridegan Family. A keyword search was conducted of the internet evidence in its entirety based on the information obtained through the General Offense and Supplement report. All keyword hits were examined individually. No artifacts of evidentiary value recovered. A keyword search was also conducted using the following terms: Abigail, child, fight, Liam, baptism, church, Jared, London, custody, Karistan, Mario, Bridegan, divorce, kill, Shanna. Internet history. The internet browsers was found installed and were identified as Safari, Google Chrome, Mozilla, Firefox. They recovered internet data, including classified URLs, Google searches, parsed search queries, social media history, and many others. Okay, and then let's see, a sample was captured for reference and illustrated below. Let me make this a little larger. Okay, a timeline was generated as a visual representation of the internet usage on this computer. A screenshot of the timeline has been included here. Over 49,536 artifacts were recovered. There were no artifacts of investigative interest noted. All emails were bookmarked and can be reviewed with the FTK report found within the provided optical disc. The computer forensic exam began September 15th, 2022, when I began the acquisition process. Okay, the HD was not imaged due to FDE. The device was resealed in evidence, so they said there's nothing really found on there. Findings during the analysis of the acquisition of the Western Digital My Passport hard drive item, there were numerous artifacts of interest noted. The artifacts mainly consisted of assorted documents such as tax, medical bills, last will and testament, and court documents. These artifacts were found in their respective folders and as such were bookmarked accordingly. An FTK report was generated containing the aforementioned artifact. The report may be viewed following the path item 003, My Passport HD FTK report, located in the provided optical disc. Now let me just see something here. This was the external, so we can see there was a 2015 taxes folder, 2016 taxes folder, 2017 taxes folder, 2018 taxes folder, court 2017, 2018, 2019. Then there was Gaylord folder, Gold Reads LN folder, Jared resume, last will and testament, medical bills paid for kids, picture folder, highlights, blue, green, photo downloads, selling 259 folder, and web.com folder. The computer forensic exam began 8/30/2022 when I began the acquisition process of the portable hard drive. The aforementioned Lacey HD was found to be formatted in an Apple file system. During the initial processing, it was noted that the HD is currently password protected and locked. The HD has full disk encryption, thus inaccessible without the password. Previously provided passwords were attempted, yielding negative results. The HD was not imaged due to FDE. The device was resealed in evidence envelope and tape after processing. Okay, at approximately 1100 hours, Henry Tennant's cell phone was received from Cellbrite. The cell phone was placed back into property as evidence. The cell phone data was placed into the case folder. The data will be reviewed for further information. And that was on Monday, September 26, 2022. And here we go, 10/19/2022 in the morning hours. I met with Detective Sergeant Young and Officer Hawkins regarding the processing of the suspect's vehicle, that 2004 blue and tan Ford 150. We discussed the processing of the vehicle and any further needs. I was told that during their original processing of the vehicle, both Smith and Hawkins were unable to lower the spare tire to be processed because of the tool belonging to the vehicle being damaged. With the tool being damaged, they postponed retrieving the tire from underneath the vehicle where it was in its proper storage location. I stated during the meeting that at 1300 hours that afternoon we would meet at the Jacksonville Beach Police Department and evidence room to lower the tire and finish processing the tire. Okay, so let's see here. Being personally familiar with the Ford F-150 storage tire, blah, blah, blah. So they got the tire put on sterile gloves, fresh from the box, just in case I came into contact with a portion of the tire. During the lowering process, I then inserted the tool to lower the tire into the keyhole in the rear bumper, applied the crank, and lowered the tire. Once lowered, I left the tire connected to the vehicle by the cable and retaining strut so that I did not have to touch the tire. This also allowed Officer Hawkins to choose the best way in which to retrieve the tire to preserve any possible evidence. I stood by until Sergeant Smith and Officer Hawkins arrived to take custody of the tire. Thursday, October 6, 2022, at approximately 900 hours, the search warrant for 5239 Potomac Avenue was conducted. Upon serving the search warrant, 4 individuals were present in the residence. Jeremy Ordway, Norma Davila, Devin Hightower, and Diane Haid were found in the residence. While the residence was searched, I conducted the recorded interviews on scene with Davila, Hightower, and Haid. Now, we already heard these. Let's see here. This one is Jeremy Ordway. Okay, so this is at approximately 1306 hours. Ordway began the interview explaining his relationship with Henry Tenon. Ordway advised he came to Jacksonville to take care of his father, and Tenon was his neighborhood. Ordway stated he was as close as you could be with someone with calling them friends. Ordway began explaining that there was construction on Potomac Avenue and that the two would frequently have flat tires. Ordway described Tenon's truck sitting in the driveway with a flat tire at one point, but did not give a time frame. Ordway advised Tenon received the truck from his father once he passed away. Ordway stated Tenon did not have the truck that long. Ordway advised that he helped Tenon retrieve the truck from Georgia at the end of 2021. Ordway would go to explain he talks to Tenon once a couple of weeks. Ordway reiterated he does not talk with Tenon by phone very much. Ordway stated he's aware Tenon carries 2 phones. Ordway stated he did not know the other phone number. According to Ordway, Tenon received a deal for 4 phone lines. Ordway began describing Tenon and Janie Deal's relationship. Ordway advised they have been together for 20 plus years. Deal would come over to the house for 30 minutes at a time. Deal used to live with Tenon at the Potomac address prior to Ordway living there. Ordway was asked if he had ever driven around Jacksonville with Tenon. Ordway advised he took Tenon to his DUI classes prior to Tenon having the truck. Ordway advised when Tenon got his truck, he helped him bring a refrigerator from the Home Depot. Ordway stated he never knew Tenon to allow anyone to borrow the truck. Ordway was asked about the whereabouts of the Crown Vic Tenon was arrested in. Ordway advised there was an issue with the transmission and his boss was working on it. Ordway advised his boss is going to purchase the vehicle. Ordway advised that Tenon originally received the Crown Vic and the truck when his father died. Ordway was asked what kind of clothes Tenon would typically wear. Tenon was described typically wearing jeans and t-shirts. Ordway advised he would wear tan work boots. Ordway would go to describe a time last year when Tenon went to look for a job with Mario Saldana. Ordway stated Saldana wanted Tenon to fill a pool in, but Tenon refused to do the job. Ordway began describing an old Navy guy who was recently doing work on the house. Ordway advised he showed up to the house, put 6 tiles down, and he hasn't seen him again. According to Ordway, Saldana came back with a younger Hispanic male to finish the tile. Ordway was asked about the location of the truck. Ordway advised the last time he saw the truck, it was at Twins Grocery. Ordway advised he let Tenon borrow $1,000, but he had not been paid back. Ordway was asked about Michael Connors and his involvement. After Tenon was arrested, Connors called Saldana several times. Ordway advised that Connors is a crackhead who was crashing on his couch. Ordway could not remember if Connors was present the day Tenon was arrested. Ordway stated Connors does not know Saldana. Ordway's advised he probably used Connors' phone to call Saldana. Ordway could not explain. He does not know Saldana other than renting his house. Ordway advised he does not know Saldana was even married. Ordway says he wishes he never moved into the house. Ordway went on to explain Saldana asked him to change the lease to end in December so he could sell the house. The deal has apparently ended due to realtors coming by and looking at the house. Ordway was asked about the new lease, which Saldana was trying to get Norma and Dane to sign since they were living there. Ordway advised he thought it was BS and told them not to sign it. Ordway was asked how Tenon would get involved with this murder, and Ordway stated that he was heavily intoxicated during this time due to his own father's death on February 11th, 2022. Ordway did not believe Tenon owed Saldana anything. Ordway stated Tenon did not tell him any details from the night of Bridegan's murder. Ordway was asked about the phone call Ordway made to Tenon the night of the murder. Previously, Ordway stated he was probably calling Tenon for a ride. Ordway now stated he has never called Tenon for a ride other than picking up the refrigerator. Ordway stated he has never had anyone but Deal answer Tenon's phone. Ordway was asked if he had ever been in Jacksonville Beach. Ordway stated he worked for a tow company. My glasses. He worked for a tow company in Mayport 15 years ago and would work in Jacksonville Beach. Since Ordway has been back in Jacksonville, he advised he has not been in Jacksonville Beach. Ordway was asked if the truck had any sentimental value to Tenon. Ordway advised he treated the truck like a truck and did not keep care of it. Ordway advised he spoke with Dwight Tenon after Henry Tenon's arrest. Ordway stated Dwight already knew about the arrest and he wanted Dwight Tenon to come get the dog which was left at the house. Ordway advised after Tenon's arrest, he contacted Saldana and told him to handle his business. Ordway alluded to Saldana knowing what happened the night of the murder. Ordway further stated he would know because it was his wife's ex-husband. Ordway would not say if he knew what Saldana knew about the murder, if he knows anything. Ordway went to explain his contact with Saldana is sparingly. Ordway was asked about an individual named Marcus Carter. Ordway advised he did not know who Carter was. Ordway was asked about Carter because there was a documented communication between both of their phones the night of the murder. Ordway continued to adamantly state he did not know who Carter was. Ordway advised his association with Saldana and Tenon was limited and he had no role in his murder. Ordway stated he never knew Saldana or Tenon to go to Jacksonville Beach together. Ordway reiterated Tenon was asked to help Saldana in filling in a pool, but he does not know where the pool is. Ordway was asked for consent to conduct a search of his cellular phone. Ordway gave verbal consent to search his cellular phone. Ordway also signed a pre-printed departmental consent form. Ordway also gave verbal consent to request his cell site data. Previously in the interview, Ordway stated he would be willing to call Mario Fernandez Saldana. Ordway was asked if he'd be willing to conduct a controlled call with Saldana, and he agreed. Oh, this is getting good. At approximately 15:52 hours, a controlled call was conducted with Saldana. That's Shanna's husband. Saldana is Shanna's husband. Ordway informed Saldana the ATF served a search warrant at 5239 Potomac Avenue. Saldana asked if Ordway received any contact information or a copy of the search warrant. Saldana wanted to know what was taken from the residence. Ordway asked why a search warrant would be conducted there. Saldana stated he does not know why and it does not make sense. Saldana apologized for Ordway having to deal with the situation, and the call ended at 15:58 hours. Ordway was asked if he believed Saldana had any involvement in this murder. Ordway advised he did not know if Saldana had any involvement. Ordway was asked if he was working the night of the murder. Ordway advised he was not working because he was heavily drinking due to his father's death. Ordway began describing an associate of Tennant's named Rabbit. Ordway did not know who Rabbit was, but Tennant would talk about him. Ordway went on to explain that Tennant knows a lot of people in the area of the residence. Ordway went on to explain he does not understand how Tennant became involved in the murder. Ordway began to describe the way Tennant treated the truck. Ordway did not believe the truck had any sentimental value due to him damaging the truck. Ordway went to explain Tennant told him he took the truck to a mechanic who had 10 cars in front of him. Ordway spoke about the $1,000 he loaned Tennant. Ordway advised Tennant had not repaid him and he didn't expect it until the truck was fixed. Okay, that's the end of that one. Let me see if you guys are even here. Okay, hi guys. Rough, what's going on? Can you see your comment? Hi 61, no comment. I can't find mine. Hi 61 must be out of prescription. What? Hi Rando. What's going on? Is this like over? Oh no, are you kidding me? You haven't been hearing me, Rich? Are you freaking kidding me? Oh my gosh. What's going on? You guys haven't been hearing me? Oh my gosh. Oh, this is crazy. You've heard me this whole time? Well, how come up above it says, is she live or what? Or something like that there was a silence, because I've been reading this entire time. But look up at, Rich says something. The screen is white now, though. Okay, now it is, L, because it got to the end. But, I don't know. I read something where Rich said something like, what happened? Is she gone? No, Nightbot's not on for some reason. I don't know what's wrong with Nightbot. Let me check Nightbot right now. I don't know. You guys don't seem to be enjoying this. I don't think I'm going to... There's like 800 pages of this to read, and I'm pretty interested in it, but I don't think a lot of you are, and I don't think it's like doing us any favors. So... I don't know how you guys, like Elle, I don't know how you're not like really heavy in this case, because this case is way, way more involved, and just there's so many connections, and with the whole StampinUp family and all of that. I don't know, I don't know how this is not, I'm missing the point of how you guys are not into this, but I'm getting the point now because I think I'm like just reading to myself. So let me see what's going on with Nightbot over here. So I don't think I'm going to continue this anymore because it doesn't seem to be. Okay. See what's going on with Nightbot. What is going on with Nightbot? I logged in with my YouTube, right? Okay, and let's see what the heck is going on. Alright, I'm going to see if that's working now. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what's going on with Nightbot. It's crazy. Okay. Anyway, I'll figure that out. But let me get back here. Hi, Emmy. Emmy, did you make it to the prayer group today? I hope so. Oh my gosh, what a fiasco that was. You heard me the whole time, but I don't think anybody's interested in this case. I don't think any of you are interested in Shanna Gardner, the daughter of the CEO of StampinUP and the murder of Jared Bridegan. I don't think anybody's interested in it. Yeah, but it's calming, but you guys are like saying you're falling asleep and taking Xanax. That's not exactly what I want to have a channel for. I want people to be involved in it. I want there to be a good conversation. I want, you know, I don't understand because so many people are interested in this case. And there's so many other videos out there about this case that people are watching. So I don't understand. This is all new documents, but I'm just feeling like it's on deaf ears. And you probably have a much better, you're not falling asleep yet. And it's, yeah, but okay, so tell me about what, like, can you talk to me about this? You forgot it too. We all did, Emmy. I feel so bad. I feel so unbelievably bad. Because they called me yesterday. And all of us forgot it. I had something with my eye and I went to close my eye and lay down and it was at that exact time and I didn't even realize it until afterwards. I'm really upset. I know Biggie forgot. Everybody just forgot and I feel terrible. What did I do with that? Other thing I had, I don't know. So I don't know, but maybe I have to create a Facebook page on this case or something and see if we can get some people that are interested in the case, that know the case, want to talk about it because it's really quite interesting. but I don't know. Let me see something here. I don't know what's going on. Honestly, I don't. Hello, can you guys hear me? I hope so. I'm just checking something. Okay, so let's see. I'm new here. Thank you, Sandra. I am glad you are interested in this case. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate you telling me that, because there's a lot of documentation on this case, and there's a lot of really interesting interviews and interesting material, and I am really interested in this case. And I think if people understood that this is the daughter of the StampinUp founder, okay, this is like a tremendous company started by these Mormon sisters. Shanna was married to Jared Bridegan. They had twins. She moved to Florida with Jared Bridegan, and then they ended up getting divorced. She takes up with this guy from the gym. She slowly becomes, not a Mormon anymore. And then her former husband is murdered, and there are multiple people involved. And now through this, we're seeing the potential involvement of 2 more people. Plus, Shanna, this daughter, this youngest daughter, of this wealthy people that started this company, is now facing the death penalty for murder. We remember when we saw her, when they took her into custody at her house in the police cam. You have, Sandra. Wonderful. That's great, Sandra. I'm so glad that you found us. I'm just trying to get more people to learn about and kind of follow and get into this case, because it was the same way with the Adelsons. There were so many people that were not into the Adelson case, not until I think Charlie was convicted. Then there's been a lot of buzz about it, but when you had Sigfrido and Luis and Katie Magbanua's trial, there wasn't the buzz. Even when Charlie started, of knowing anything. But now with Donna, and then finally you're getting people that are into it. And here is a case that has just as many, if not more, twists and turns and all this kind of stuff that that every Lifetime movie would wish they would have in a script. But it's like, I don't know. You're behind on some cases. Okay, well, this is a tremendous case. But I don't know. I mean, I definitely want to do this and read this for myself. But I mean, if we're not, the channel is not me. You've been watching the case too? Okay, Sandra, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you finding us. I just wish that we could connect up with more people that know about the case, because I want to go through this, and it's, we've gone through this with other cases, but we've had a big audience, and we've had a lot of people that were, oh, what about this? What about that? And it's just interactive, and it's nice, and it's like when we have something like this, it just has to feel like that this is not what the majority want to be doing. So I'm not sure. It's like I said, I mean, there's been other times people said, oh, could you do this? Like, where's Puddin'? Puddin' always wants me to do the true crime, but I don't see Puddin' here. I know she listens, but Puddin', are you not interested in this case? And then before that, we did we talked for a long time about Audrii, right? Cunningham. But and that's something big that's happening now. But I'm just not seeing that here. And I don't know whether it's due to some other reason or what's going on. The Adelson case you've been watching. Yeah, yes, and we're covering that as well. But a lot of people didn't come to that Adelson case until very, very late. And I think that this StampinUp case is going to be another one that when she starts going to trial, she's got, Jose Baez as her lawyer. That's Casey Anthony's lawyer. I just think you guys are missing the mark on this and not trying to understand this. And maybe we need a whiteboard, and maybe people aren't understanding it, and maybe because you don't have color pictures, and I don't know. But I've gone through the mother's blog. I've gone through stuff about Shanna. We've watched the police cam of her arrest. I just don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. All right, let me go in and add something else here. Okay, here's index supplemental reports 93 to 191. And June 16th, 2022, at approximately 8:05 hours, Brad Bird arrived at the Jacksonville Police Department. In order to conduct an interview, Bird had contacted Jacksonville Police Department on 6/14/2022 in reference to a conversation he had with Shanna Gardner. Okay, wait, hold on. Let me see. He was the one that, I think we went through this one. Oh yeah, this is Fernandez taking unknown pictures, a nude female, and getting erotic massages. Absolutely. One to 34. To 16/2022 at approximately 19:59 hours, I was dispatched to Jacksonville Drive, Sanctuary Way, north in reference to possible gunshots. Detectives arrived on scene and assumed the investigation. This is the very preliminary reports here, okay? So if you're new to the case, this should help you understand a lot. On February 16th, 2022, I responded to the area on Sanctuary Boulevard between Jacksonville Drive and Sanctuary Parkway to report of a person being shot. Upon arrival, I observed 2 white cars parked on Sanctuary Boulevard, California tag and a Florida tag, and a black Volkswagen SUV, stopped with hazards on, an open driver's side door. Further south of the white cars, I observed a damaged tire on the ground in front of the Volkswagen. All of the listed vehicles were facing southbound on Sanctuary Boulevard. Officer Corey, Sergeant Smith, and I arrived on scene at nearly the same time. While Sergeant Smith and Officer Corey went up to the victim's vehicle, I made initial contact with the other 2 vehicles. I checked on their well-being while gathering their information. In the white vehicle with the Florida tag, Zareta Verge was the driver. Excuse me. And Osiris Verge Calderon was the passenger. In the white vehicle with the California tag, Janelle Cruz was the driver, and Shane Villanueva Borgia was the passenger. I observed Sergeant Smith attempting CPR on the victim, who was laying on the ground to the west of the vehicle and by the open driver's side door. I observed a large amount of blood in an area where the victim was originally laying before being moved by Sergeant Smith in order to perform CPR. I also noticed another area of pooled blood underneath the victim as he laid on his back. The victim was a white male in his 30s with brown hair and wearing a blue shirt and gray pants. I observed he had brown flip-flop. One flip-flop was on his foot and the other laid slightly south of his body. I observed a gold-colored ring on the victim's left ring finger. The body was covered with a white sheet after it was accessed by rescue units and covered again with an emergency blanket. I ran the vehicle tag through NCIC, FCIC, and received the return for Jared Bridegan as being one of the registered owners. Based on the identification of the subject, and I made that identification, I collected the information as well as emergency contact information for his listed wife, Kristen Elizabeth Bridegan. There was reportedly a child in the vehicle at the time of the incident. During my initial contact with the other vehicles and occupants of those, I saw the child. Villanueva Borgia stated he pulled the child out of the vehicle after he noticed the seriousness of the incident. After that, the child stayed in his and his girlfriend, Janelle Cruz's, care. I observed the child was wrapped in a blanket and had what appeared to be pajamas on. The child responded to the name Brooksy and said she was 2 years old. She did not appear to have any physical injuries. I did not observe any contusions, abrasions, or blood on her. The child was calm and appeared to be comfortable with Cruz, so she remained with her while I completed copying involved parties' information for this report and to supply with detectives. Corporal Santiago arrived on scene and took control of the child from Cruz and transported her to the Jacksonville Beach Police Station. I did not inquire or ask any questions regarding the facts of this case with any witness outside of it. If they had any suspect information, or if they had any injuries themselves while I was collecting information. During my interaction, I did not receive any suspect information that I would have been able to relay to other officers on duty. Sergeant Young requested the cell phone inside the vehicle be photographed so that it could be collected immediately rather than waiting for the entire scene to be processed. I assisted taking several photographs of where the phone was originally located in the vehicle prior to being collected by Sergeant 795 from the vehicle. I observed 2 holes in the vehicle consistent with that of a projectile. One hole was in the center console dash area to the lower right of the steering wheel, and the other appeared to be in the middle area of the passenger side front door under the window and close enough to cause the window glass to spider but not break out. While looking into the victim's vehicle to retrieve the cell phone, I did briefly observe several blood stains. On the ground around the victim, I observed 3 bullet casings, 2 were northwest, slightly from the victim, and the other 2 appeared to be west, to the south, slightly from the victim's body. The 2 casings to the south of the body were in close proximity that they were easy to see and avoid. I placed a blank department field contact card next to the casings to the furthest north of the body in order to assist with seeing its location. When the medical examiner arrived, I assisted with photographing several photographs to avoid cross-contamination with the medical examiner and his camera. The body was not moved after Sergeant Smith attempted CPR, and the deceased was assessed by rescue until the medical examiner arrived on scene to process the body. Once the body was moved and turned by the medical examiner, a silver-colored projectile was located under the body. As the medical examiner was assessing the body, I observed 2 holes in the shirt in the area of the left shoulder. Once the shirt was moved, I observed a hole to the left shoulder area. The North Florida body removal team arrived and removed the body from the scene. I assisted lead evidence technician S. Jarman, 1204, and Officer J. Langlosi with a portion of the laser mapping of the scene. I later copied my photographs to a photograph disc and created a photo log for those photos. I submitted the photo log and disc to the property room as evidence. On February 17, 2022, I responded to the Jacksonville Police Department property room where I assisted with processing and collecting evidence from the victim's vehicle. I assisted lead evidence technician S. Jarman and Officer Langlos and property officer J. Choate. Officer Jarman opened the evidence seals that had been placed on the vehicle the previous night, and the vehicle was opened and photographed. I assisted evidence technician Officer Langlos with the several possible latent prints, 2 from the driver's side rear door and quarter panel area, and the other from the right rear window. All the contents of the vehicle were removed and placed on an unused tarp within the processing garage area. The items were photographed by Officer Jarman, and miscellaneous keys were collected along with a pair of AirPods and submitted to the property room as safekeeping. While photographing the vehicle, Officer Jarman opened the glove box, and that action caused a projectile to fall to the passenger side floorboard. The projectile appeared consistent with the trajectory of the hole to the right area of the radio console area. It appeared as if the projectile entered the console area and traveled through the area of the center console before coming in contact with the glove box door. On the left side, the damaged front passenger window had a hole consistent with a bullet projectile. I assisted property officer J. Choate in the shooting incident reconstruction of the vehicle. We utilized strings and dowel to show an approximate degree in which the bullet holes from the vehicle might have been fired from. The reconstruction was photographed by Officer Jarman. I assisted with dismantling the front passenger door, and during that process, a projectile was located within the door frame. Officers utilized a crowbar, hammer claw, and metal saw in order to facilitate locating the projectile within the metal door. Additionally, while looking inside the vehicle's driver's side door, I observed several areas in which there was bloodstains that appeared to be falling in a downward motion as if the subject was straight and the blood was dropping straight down. On the driver's seat itself, there appeared to be a swipe pattern bloodstain. The swipe pattern bloodstain appeared consistent with transfer of blood from a blood-bearing surface such as the victim's pants onto another surface such as a driver's seat. This stain indicates motion as if someone was exiting the vehicle. Taco, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that very much, Taco. Thank you very much. If you did the Lake Livingston real estate tour, what? Tell me what? If you did the Lake Livingston real estate, are you talking about with Audrii? I'll do more of Audrii tomorrow. I did a lot on the beginning of this, but I'll do more tomorrow, Tackle. Okay, yes, the daughter, Sandra, yes, the little girl witnessed her father being killed. It's horrible. And then they started a foundation because she was left alone at the police station, and they started a foundation with her name on it in order to give kids like something. They make kits or something, right? So that's something else that I've talked about that before. Okay, so while processing the vehicle, I was called to collect items. Hope you do the house views. Taco, tell me, are you talking about the father's house views for Audrii's father? No, she has a mother and, no, she has her mother and she has a sibling, and she has twins, half-siblings that she hasn't been really allowed to see anymore since Shanna and her mother and father took them away. Oh, the area houses, okay. Okay, so let me see here. I was having a dried banana. Other officers located a bush beer can in the grass and tree line on the west side of the roadway within close proximity of where the body was located. At the southern end of Sanctuary Boulevard and on the west side of the roadway in the tree line was a pair of white socks with red and blue stitching on them. There was an area where the socks were located where it appeared to be cleaned off of debris and slightly flattened as if a larger item was resting, causing the ground to flatten. The pair of socks, number 12, and the beer can, number 11, were photographed with and without evidence markers. The items were collected and submitted to the Jacksonville Beach Police Department as evidence. I did not observe any shoe markings in the incident area, which might have been able to be utilized or collected. I collected 3 touch DNA swabs from the beer can, 1 controlled swab, 1 swab from the lip of the can, and 1 from the shaft of the can. Those swabs were submitted to the property room as evidence along with 2 latent print lifts from the shaft of the beer can. The photographs I took on the second day of processing were again copied to a photo disc and completed a photo log. The disc and the log from day 2 were submitted to the property room as evidence, nothing further. On February 16, 2021 at 19:59 hours, I responded to the Jacksonville Drive and Sanctuary Way in reference to a shooting. I held the perimeter and completed the crime scene log. While on perimeter, I made contact with a witness, Timothy Hallahan, who stated at around 2,000 hours he was in his residence and heard what sounded like 4 to 5 gunshots. He advised they were in quick succession, but that he heard a brief pause before the last shot. He stated he initially didn't think anything of it, and then he saw the blue lights and wanted to give police the information in case it helped. Hallahan stated he didn't hear or see anything else. On 12/16/2021 at approximately 19:59 hours, I was dispatched to Jacksonville Drive, Sanctuary Way North in reference to possible gunshots. This is wrong. You see this? This is another area. See how it says? Hold on a minute. This should be 2/16, not 12/16. There's so many mistakes in these papers. It's crazy. Crazy. Upon arrival, I observed a white truck parked on the grass on the west side of Sanctuary Boulevard facing south. I checked the registration and made contact with the owner. Don't even ask me to say this name, okay? Giorgio, yeah, great, I can't. Stated he did not hear any gunshots and did not see any suspicious activity. That person saw multiple vehicles near the south end of Sanctuary Boulevard and parked his truck and walked down to see if he could help. I asked that person why he thought he needed help if he did not observe any suspicious activity. That person stated he was just trying to do the right thing. I gathered that person's information and told him to remain on scene for follow-up questions. When that person took his Florida driver's license from his wallet, I observed he also had a concealed carry permit. That person became agitated and stated he did not understand why he had to stay. As I spoke with other witnesses, that person continued to insist he wanted to leave and he should not have to be made to stay. I continued to explain to him he needed to stay until a detective spoke with him. That person continued to be highly agitated, pacing up and down Sanctuary Boulevard and trying to get in and out of his truck repeatedly. I attempted to diffuse his aggravation by remaining calm and explaining a detective would be over to speak to him as soon as possible. That person stated he felt he was being punished for trying to help and being a good guy. Thank you, Taco. I spoke to Ryan Frauenheim, who stated he heard 2 to 3 shots at approximately 2,000 hours. Ryan's son, Carter Frauenheim, heard 4 to 6 gunshots from his bedroom and called downstairs to his dad, asking if what he heard was fireworks. Ryan's wife, Erin, looked outside and observed a white male, approximately 6'2", average build, wearing a short-sleeved black t-shirt and a black hat, walking east on Jacksonville Drive towards South Beach Parkway. Erin thought he looked suspicious because he was walking alone at a brisk pace and kept looking over his shoulder towards Sanctuary Boulevard. I gave the description to dispatch and a bolo to other officers. I also spoke to Carrie Hazen, who stated she lived just west of the trees of Sanctuary Way South. Hazen's a member of the Neighborhood Watch and received a text from her neighbor in reference to hearing gunshots. Hazen observed the police lights and walked from her residence to inquire for further information. Hazen did not hear any gunshots or observe any suspicious persons or vehicle. While speaking to Hazen, Thomas Bryan approached me and stated he heard 4 gunshots at 1952 hours. Bryan was not in the immediate area to observe any suspicious persons or vehicle. I spoke to Kimberly Arena and her son, Ocean Arena. Her son is named Ocean Arena. That's crazy. Kimberly or Ocean Arena. Hey, Ocean Arena. That's really, why didn't they name him Football Arena? Come on. Come on, people. Your kids have to live with your crazy decisions there. Ocean Arena. Sorry about that. It's just bizarre. Kimberly, just because you have a last name where you can put something, and it's like, come on, don't do that. Kimberly stated she and her son live on Ashley Oaks and observed the police lights and stopped to inquire for further information. While standing at the northwest corner of Jacksonville Drive and Sanctuary Boulevard, a white male with gray hair and a beard stopped in a white car and asked what was happening. Kimberly stated she thought it was a car wreck. The white male stated, "Hopefully nobody got shot," and drove away. After collecting the above witnesses' verbal statements and information, I relocated to the intersection of Sanctuary Parkway and Sanctuary Boulevard to set a perimeter. I completed a tow log sheet and placed a hold on the victim's vehicle. This concludes my involvement in the investigation. Okay. On 2/16/2022, just after 2,000 hours, I responded to Sanctuary Boulevard in between Jacksonville Drive and JTB on ramp in reference to a report of gunshots and a person laying in the street. Upon arrival, I observed a black Volkswagen SUV and a male laying outside of the vehicle. SGT Sergeant Smith was in front of me. There were several people standing between Sergeant Smith's truck and the black SUV. I asked the people if the SUV belonged to any of them. They all replied it did not. I instructed all of the people to move behind my police car and wait for an officer to speak with them. Come on, guys. Get behind the police car. Get away. Leave it. Give the man some space. One of the witnesses told me there was a child in the car. I went and checked the SUV for a child, but there was none in the car. The witness then told me one of the other witnesses had already taken the child out of the car and was with her in another car. I then went to the victim, where Sergeant Smith was performing CPR on him. I relieved him and performed CPR until JFRD Rescue arrived and relieved me. I then taped off the south end of Sanctuary Boulevard. I remained until Officer Langlos parked his car to stop traffic from driving through. Once detectives arrived, I was asked to canvass America Avenue with the following results. 3997 America Avenue, Matthew Fennell stated he was upstairs changing and heard 3 shots and did not see or hear anything else. At 4005 America Avenue, Stephanie Holy had a camera on of her house. Had not checked the video. She heard 4 or 5 gunshots, did not hear or see anything else. At 413 America Avenue, Douglas Ott had a camera out of his house. He reviewed it but did not pick up anything around the time of the shooting. States he heard 4 shots, did not see, hear anything else. Heather Ireland stated she heard 4 gunshots, did not see, hear anything else. Candace Mayberry has a camera on her house, had not checked the video, stated she heard 4 gunshots. She told me there was a white panel van on the street 30 to 40 minutes after police arrived. She stated she was told the driver was acting suspicious and was run off by other neighbors. Phyllis Wade mentioned the white van. Her son attempted to take a picture of it but was unable to due to the darkness and the vehicle moving. Eric Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan told me before 2100 hours he was leaving to go to the store and the white panel van was blocking him from getting out of his driveway. He went to ask the driver to move it. Get it out of here. The driver was standing in the bushes on the west side of America Avenue. He said when he spoke to the driver, he seemed to become very nervous. Sullivan asked him, "What are you doing?" And the man told him his dad used to live in the sanctuary, and he saw the police lights and was curious what was going on. He stated the man quickly got into his vehicle and left. He described the man as a white man, approximately 6'2", 250 pounds. He said the man was chubby and had a black, scraggly beard. He had a black, scraggly beard. Where's the chubby man? Okay. He was wearing a gray hoodie and blue jeans with a hat. The van was a plain white panel van with no markings on it. He said there were PVC pipes on the top of the van. It had a Florida license plate, but he didn't get the tag. Trent Waterman has a camera on his house, but had just gotten home. He said he'd check it. He was not home at the time of the shooting. Robert Carney has cameras on his house. He told me he was pulling into his driveway when he heard the gunshots. He had his music up, so he wasn't initially sure if it was gunshots or fireworks. When he got out of his truck, he noticed a vehicle on Sanctuary Boulevard, but did not notice any other vehicles in the area. Tony Blanco has a security system camera on his house. He checked the video after neighbors told him about the shooting, but it didn't capture anything at the time of the shooting. He stated He heard 4 gunshots, but he did not see or hear anything else. After I canvassed American Avenue, I stood on the northbound lane of Sanctuary Boulevard to make sure no one attempted to enter the scene through the bushes dividing American Avenue and Sanctuary Boulevard. That completed my participation in the investigation until the scene was cleared. Okay. On 2/16/2022, I received a call from Sergeant Smith requesting my assistance at a scene. I responded to Sanctuary Parkway and Jacksonville Drive. I met Sergeant Smith, Sergeant Young, and Officer Jarman. I assisted Officer Jarman with the scene and collected the physical evidence and placed all of it into property. I sealed the vehicle with evidence tape, and I followed the vehicle back to the property room and placed it into the garage and locked the garage. On 2/17/2022, I processed the rim and tire on this case. The rim is a Ford rim. Swabs were taken from 4 locations and marked on the rim where they were taken from. The rim was processed for latent prints using black powder with negative results. The swabs will be placed into property. On Wednesday, February 16th at 2022 hours, I was contacted by Sergeant Young in reference to this case. And then I responded to the area of Jacksonville Drive and Sanctuary Boulevard. Upon arriving there, I met with Sergeant Young. Sergeant Young told me Detective Johns was going to be the lead detective on this case. So I assisted Detective Johns. I walked down Sanctuary Boulevard toward the vehicle. There was a black Volkswagen Atlas. It was stopped in the roadway with the vehicle's hazard lights activated. The male victim was laying on his back with a sheet over him. I observed 4 spent shell casings on the roadway near the victim's body, and there was a Ford rim with attached tire laying in front of the victim's vehicle in the roadway. I contacted the Duval County State Attorney's Office on-call homicide state attorney. I spoke to ASA Christina Stifler, and I described the scene to her. Stifler said she would come to the scene. When she arrived on scene, Sergeant Young, Detective Johns, and I escorted her to the scene. Detective Johns and Stifler left the scene so they could speak to the victim's wife, who was at the police station with Detective Santiago. I contacted the Duval County Medical Examiner's Office and I spoke to investigator Jeremy Stum. The Medical Examiner's Office case number is 22-441. North Florida Transport transported the victim to the Duval County Medical Examiner's Office so they could perform an autopsy. On Thursday, February 17th, 2022, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives Special Agent Mark Mutz arrived at the police department to offer any assistance with this investigation. Special Agent Mutz advised the ATF could test the 4 spent shell casings for DNA and then submit those casings to NIBIN. I proceeded to check out all 4 shell casings. Item 1 was an Underwood brand 10mm shell casing. Item 2 was a PPU brand 10mm shell casing. Item 3 was an Underwood brand 10mm shell casing. Item 4 was a PPU brand 10mm shell casing. I scanned the chain of custody form for those items from this into this report. Investigation is continuing. Wednesday, February 16th, 2022, at approximately 20:32 hours, I arrived at Jacksonville Drive and Sanctuary Boulevard in reference to a shooting. Upon my arrival, I met with officers on scene and confirmed that there was a male subject who had been shot an unknown number of times. The male was pronounced deceased by JFRD R60 at 20:10 hours. The male, look how horrible this writing is. The male was later identified as Jared Bridegan. I met with ETS Jarman 1286 and walked the scene looking for anything of evidentiary value. The deceased male was laying next to a black 2018 VW Atlas, which is registered to the decedent. There were 4 casings on the ground, laying near the body and vehicle. The front passenger window appeared to be shattered. After conducting an initial walkthrough of the scene, I returned to police headquarters to interview Shane Peter Villanueva Borgia, a witness. He stated the following. At 22:57 hours, the interview with Villanueva Borgia was conducted in the soft room and was audio and video recorded. Also present was ASA C. Stifler. Villanueva Borgia stated he was leaving his friend's house near Seabreeze Elementary and returning home. He stated he traveled Seabreeze to America Avenue to Sanctuary Boulevard. He stated he and a car that was in front of him both turned onto Sanctuary Boulevard. Traffic then came to a stop, and Villanueva Borgia stated he saw a black SUV stopped in the middle of the road and a tire in front of the SUV. He initially thought the victim was changing his tire, so he appeared to help. Villanueva Borgia noticed the driver's door was open and the victim was on the ground, twitching and moving. He stated he turned around and told the ladies to call 911. He stated he thought it was an accident until he saw the passenger window was shattered and he saw a little girl, so he grabbed her and took her back to his car. He stated there was a male bystander, a white guy with a hat, who stated he heard from a lady that there were gunshots. He stated he was trying to ask the little girl what happened, but she was only worried about her dad. I also met with Kirsten E. Bridegan, which they also call interchangeably Kirsten, okay, the victim's wife. She stated the following. Now we're going to hear an interview with Jared's wife. I think a soft room is a room that has probably, it's not like the table and hard chairs. It probably has, like, Letitia was in that room with like that couch and stuff and those chairs. And I think it's more homey for people that are not like suspects, even though Letitia was a suspect. But that's what I think a soft room is. Okay, so now we're going to hear the interview with Kirsten. Maybe not. She stated the following. At 9:15 hours, I met with the medical examiner's office. During the course of their exam, it was discovered the victim was shot twice in the left shoulder. One projectile remained in the lower portion of the neck and was collected. The second projectile appeared to exit the body in the right shoulder area. The victim's clothing was, The victim's clothing and other items of evidence will be collected at a later date. Detective Lamont was contacted by a family member and stated the victim's brother, Justin Bridegan, wanted to come in and talk to detectives. Justin was contacted and agreed to come in and speak to us. He stated the following. And they're not putting that in yet either. Preservation letters were sent to T-Mobile for Mario E. Fernandez Saldana and Shanna Lee Gardner. I received a confirmation that they were received. Subpoena requests to the SAO for Wendy's in an effort to obtain security footage and receipts. A subpoena request for Chase was also submitted for the victim's banking records. February 18th, 2022. Isn't that funny? We're right around the same time frame, but 2 years later. At 10:30 hours, myself and Detective Jay Lamont met with Lori Armstrong from the Child Protective Services team. An interview was conducted with the minor child B. Bridegan, age 2. The interview was audio and video recorded. B. Bridegan stated she did not hear anyone arguing with her father, but did see someone who appeared to have a green hat, pink or red skin, in Halloween-like clothing approach the car and then ran south from away from the car. She stated, "Daddy was sick," and was laying on the ground. There were no other statements made during the interview that were pertinent. Later in the day, contact was made with Gabrielle Harrett, who was seen in the area earlier in the day on security video. Harrett stated he did not see anything out of the ordinary, and he stated he was not in the area during the time of the incident. It should be noted, Harrett is a local, long-term transient that is known to camp near the incident location. He also suffers from mental illness and is often not lucid. I also spoke to Britt Taylor via telephone, who stated he knows the victim's family. He relayed similar account to Justin E. Bridegan. When asked if he observed anything, he stated he was just told stories by the family. He has not had any personal encounters. A subpoena was served via email to Wendy's, and a subpoena was mailed to J.P. Morgan Chase. On 2/17/2022, I assisted Officer Jarman with the evidence recovery of the items from the victim's vehicle. 2 projectiles were recovered. The first one was located on the passenger side front seat floor, which was marker number 10. The second projectile was located in the passenger side door, inside the door, which was marker number 13. Both items will be placed into property. In 2/16/2022, at approximately 2,000 hours, officers were dispatched to State Road A1A exit ramp and J. Turner Butler Boulevard, JTB, in reference to a report of 3 to 4 gunshots. After a brief time, they were redirected by dispatch to Sanctuary Boulevard in Jacksonville Drive after reports of an unconscious male laying next to a black sport utility vehicle with a child inside the vehicle. Sergeant L. Smith, 792, arrived on scene at the updated location a short time later and advised over the radio there was a male laying in the street who appeared to have suffered a gunshot wound. Sergeant Smith began advising other responding units, to secure the scene and hold potential witnesses in the area. Additionally, I heard Sergeant Smith request through dispatch on-call lead evidence technician, Officer S. Jarman, respond to the scene. At approximately 22 hours, I responded to the scene to assist. Prior to my arrival, Officer H. Corey contacted me via radio and requested I park my patrol vehicle at Sanctuary Boulevard and Sanctuary Parkway, which is a T intersection near JTB westbound. I approached traveling west on Sanctuary Parkway and could see crime scene tape had already been put up. At the request of Officer Corey, I activated my emergency overhead lights and positioned my patrol vehicle to block the northbound side of Sanctuary Boulevard at Sanctuary Parkway. I began walking up the northbound side of Sanctuary Boulevard with Officer Corey, at which time he advised that there was a deceased male on scene. As I walked north, I could see what appeared to be a vehicle, headlights facing south on the southbound side of Sanctuary Boulevard, and what appeared to be a large object covered by a white sheet on the ground near the driver door. The area was very dark due to not being well lit, and brush separating the north and southbound lanes made it difficult to gain a detailed view upon initial observation. The hazard lights of the vehicle were blinking and the driver's side door appeared to be ajar. I walked around the brush and made my way across the marsh median separating the north and southbound lanes. I approached the main area of the scene from the rear of the vehicle. I could see other officers on scene gathering information from several witnesses. I made contact with Sergeant Smith and began walking the scene. I observed the vehicle to be a black-colored Volkswagen Atlas SUV. The SUV was parked in a slight angle in the southwest direction towards Sanctuary Parkway and JTB westbound. The driver's side door was ajar, as I had originally observed. Under closer observation, I could clearly see the object under the white sheet was the decedent. The body was laying near the curb on the east side of the roadway. A large pool of blood was observed to the right of the decedent's head and had began coagulating. Blood was visible soaking through the sheet, and I could clearly see the decedent's left hand and wrist sticking out from under the sheet, resting on the left side east curb of the roadway. The fingers were curled inward. I observed a silver and diamond ring, which appeared to be a wedding band, on the decedent's left ring finger, along with what appeared to be a black Apple Watch. There was what appeared to be dried blood on the hand. The decedent's feet were also sticking out from under the sheet. The decedent's feet were crossed, and it appeared he had been wearing one brown-colored flip-flop sandal while the other one was laying nearby in the street. The decedent's feet were facing south, and his head faced north. I observed a large tire laying in the middle of the street, approximately 10 to 15 feet to the front of the vehicle. It appeared to be old and damaged. Sergeant Smith pointed out 4 shell casings laying in different areas of the scene, beginning from the rear of the vehicle and ending near the front side passenger door. The front driver's side door, The casings appeared to be brass casings. Additionally, Sergeant Smith pointed out what appeared to be blood spots on the left side of the driver's seat and the interior frame of the driver's side door. Looking into the vehicle, a small hole was observed in the center dash, with an entry point below and to the right of the steering wheel. The front passenger side window was shattered but still intact. A small hole was observed where the frame and glass meet, with the majority of the impact appearing to be in the metal frame. There was what appeared to be lines in the glass extending around the circumference of the center point of the contact. Sergeant Smith advised me to coordinate with Officer Jarman upon his arrival and assist him with evidence collection and documentation of the scene. Upon Officer Jarman's arrival on scene, I made contact with him to determine what was needed to properly document the scene. At his request, I returned to police headquarters. I gathered all pertinent information, equipment, and returned to the scene. Once back on scene, I walked with Officer Jarman as he gathered overall mid-range and close-up photographs. Due to the dark light where the scene was located, I at times provided assistance with lighting by using my flashlight. Once the photographs were taken, I assisted Officer Jarman in setting up the OSCR 360 to document the scene with a 360-degree camera. The OSCR 360 was used on the rear north side of the vehicle and on the front south side of the vehicle. Upon the arrival of the medical examiner, I assisted Officer Jarman by marking the location of the body prior to it being moved. Using chalk, I marked the locations of the head, feet, and arms. Additionally, I marked the locations of a casing and possible projectile in the immediate vicinity of the body in order to preserve the location and the integrity of the evidence. Once the body was removed by the medical examiner, I assisted Officer Jarman with laser mapping the scene. After all scene documentation was completed, I assisted with a line search of both the north and southbound sides of Sanctuary Boulevard. On February 17th, I assisted Officer Jarman, Officer Filbert, and the property officer Jay Choate with processing the victim's vehicle. I collected latent prints from the rear left driver's side door, the rear left driver's side quarter panel, and the rear right passenger side window. The prints have been entered and placed into property as evidence. I assisted Officer Jarman with removing all items from the vehicle to determine if anything was of evidentiary value existed. I assisted with shooting reconstruction using rods and string in 2 separate locations inside the vehicle. Additionally, I assisted with removing parts of the front passenger side door in an effort to locate a projectile which was eventually found inside the door. This concludes my involvement with this case. On Wednesday, February 16th, 2022, 21:40 hours, I received a phone call from Detective Sergeant C.D. Young, 795. Sergeant C.D. Young stated he needed my assistance with a homicide on Sanctuary Boulevard near Jacksonville Drive. At approximately 22:15 hours, I arrived at the intersection of Sanctuary Boulevard and Jacksonville Drive. At 10:22 hours, how could that be? I'm sure they mean 20-22 hours. Detective Jason Lamont said he needed help obtaining written statements from a father and a son who lived at 3940 Grand Boulevard at 22:36 hours. Yeah, see, there's a lot of mistakes in here, a lot. And after receiving the written statements, I returned to the scene. At 22:47 hours, Detective Sergeant Young told me to check out the nearby residences. At 22:50 hours, I went to 3782 Sanctuary Way South, and I met with a resident, Don Cruz. He said he was not home at the time of the incident. He said his wife, who was home, heard the shots but did not see anything. Cruz told me to check with his next-door neighbor. Cruz says he did not have any cameras on his residence. At 22:55 hours, I went to 3766 Sanctuary Way South and met with resident Thomas Graham. He said he was home in his living room and watching television at the time of the incident. He said he heard 3 to 5 shots that were in quick succession. He said, blah, 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 blah. He said he could be reached back at his number. At 23:01, I went to 3795 Sanctuary Way North, and I met with Christina William. She said she was home at the time. She said she heard cars going down Jacksonville Drive, and she heard 4 pops. She said she did not have any cameras on her residence and said she didn't have any additional information. At 23:05, I returned to the scene. I met with Detective Sergeant Young, and I told him about my meetings. At 00:11, I left the scene to return to police headquarters located at 101 South Pennon Road to meet with Detective Lamont, where we would soon go to 1511 Marsh Inlet Court to meet with the victim's ex-wife. Oh, this should be good. At 36 hours, Detective Lamont and I drove to the residence and met with who was later identified by Florida driver's license as Shanna Gardner, daughter of the StampinUp founder, and her husband, who she met at the gym, Mario Hernandez. After the notification, we left the residence at approximately 100 hours and returned to police headquarters. Shortly after returning to police headquarters, I called Gardner's cell phone and confirmed her ex-husband, Jared Bridegan, picked up their children at 18:29 hours and then returned their children at approximately 19:45 hours. On Thursday, February 17th, 2022, at approximately 9:30 hours while attending a meeting with Detective Sergeant Young, Special Investigations Unit Corporal B. Wallens, Detective B. Connor, and I were assigned to begin a neighborhood canvass. What we believe to be Jared Bridegan's travel route from 1511 Marsh Inlet Circle south on 15th Street, south to Fairway Lane, east on Seabreeze Avenue to south on America Avenue, west on Jacksonville Drive to south on Sanctuary Boulevard. In addition, I was asked to obtain the video from the Sanctuary of Jacksonville Beach's unnamed guard gate, a gated community located approximately a quarter mile due west of where the victim was found on Sanctuary Boulevard. At 11:18 hours, Detective B. Connor and I arrived at the Sanctuary of Jacksonville's Beach guard gate and was told by an unknown guard who was monitoring the gate remotely to contact a supervisor. At 11:29 hours, I contacted the listed phone number, option 3, and was advised to email a request to blah, blah, blah. I returned to police headquarters located blah, 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 where I met with Miranda Minton, 193, who emailed me the request for me. At 1200 hours, I drove to 1511 Marsh Inlet Circle and met with Shanna Lee Gardner. Okay, this is the ex-wife, daughter of the StampinUp founders. Shanna said Jared Bridegan sent a text message to her the previous night at 18:29 hours reading, "Here, to notify her that he was at her house to pick up their 2 children. Gardner said he returned to her house to drop off the children at approximately 19:45 hours. Gardner said she asked her daughter, who said the time was actually 19:48 hours. Gardner said the children came into the house from the garage, which is located west of the front door. She said something did not pick up the motion. Gardner showed me the camera's recordings, which do not include any recordings during or near that time. I then began conducting a neighborhood canvass with Detective Connor at the following locations: 12:07 hours at 1516 Marsh Inlet, 12:07 hours at 1653 Marsh Inlet. No one appeared to be home. The other one, the resident didn't have information. At 12:15 at 1771 Marsh Inlet, met with Adam Bolenbach, who did not have any information. 12:15, I met with 1780 Marsh Court. Cameras present. I met with Cheryl Weigand, who said she was a guest at the residence. She said she would contact me if the cameras captured anything in the cul-de-sac. Later at 13:17 hours, I received a phone call back from Weigand, who said after speaking with the homeowner, said the camera did not capture anything. At 12:21 hours, I received a phone call from Detective Captain Wallace, who wanted to meet him at the 4000 block of America Avenue. Detective Connor and I drove there, where Detective Corporal showed a video of what was believed to be a portion of the incident where the suspect shooter walking south on Sanctuary Boulevard. Detective Connor and I were then told to conduct a neighborhood canvass of the residences south of Jacksonville Drive from America Avenue to South Beach Parkway. 12:38 hours, 40:45 America Avenue. Spoke with resident Eric Sullivan. No information. 13:29 hours, 40:33 America Avenue. Detective Connor met with resident 13:30, 4021 America Avenue, resident not available. Return after 16:30 hours. 1332 hours, 4013 America Avenue, no answer. 1340, 4095 Grande Boulevard, interior being renovated, appears uninhabited. 1341 hours, 4083 Grande Boulevard, spoke with resident Jennifer Dix, no video, no information. 1352 hours, 4071 Grande Boulevard, spoke with resident Caitlin Park, no video, no information. 1355, 4063 Grande Boulevard, spoke with resident Gail Gallagher, no video, no information. 1403, 4055 Grande Boulevard, spoke, no answer at the door. Okay, 4049 Grande Boulevard, cameras present, no answer at the door. 4041 Grande Boulevard, spoke with resident Joseph Santa Lucia, no information. Okay, 4035 Grande Boulevard, spoke with resident Harry Granum, no information. 1414 4027 Grande Boulevard, no answer at the door. 1416 4015 Grande Boulevard, spoke with resident Vince Michael, no information. 1419 1278 Jacksonville Drive, ring camera, spoke to resident David Stocks, no video, no information. No soup for you. 1429 4009 Palm Way, cameras, spoke with resident Susan Shad, no video, no information. 1435 4033 Palm Way, spoke with resident Kathleen Riley, no information. 1438 4047 Palm Way, no answer at the door. 1440 4051 Palm Way, cameras, spoke with resident Carrie Thayer. Advised they would email me video later the same day at 1607 hours. Thayer sent me an email with 5 video attachments. 1455 4087 Gulfstream Drive, no answer at the door. 1456 4079 Gulfstream Drive, spoke with resident Curtis Dock, no information. 1459 4071 Gulfstream Drive, no answer at the door. 1500 hours, 4065 Gulfstream Drive, spoke with resident Lynn Gordon, no video, no information. 1504 4051 Gulfstream Drive, no answer at the door. Okay, so then let's just keep going. Never know, you have to get these. Spoke with resident Michael Bradshaw, no video, no information. Spoke with resident Casey Mabry, no video, no information. Spoke with resident Lee Hanses, no video, no information. No answer at the door. Spoke with Burrell Horton, no information, no video. Okay, on Friday, February 18th, I resumed the neighborhood canvas. Spoke with Nazim Washington, no video, no information. No answer at the door. I spoke with Carolyn Lattis, no information. No answer at the door. I spoke with Kim Katir. I spoke with Mike Triglia. I wonder if that's a relative of mine. Okay, 4089, no answer. 4088, no answer. 4080, no answer. 4072, no answer. 10003 Seaside Drive North, spoke with Sean Budney. No video, however, he said he noticed 2 to 3 times the vehicle traffic when he said it was unusual on the night on the 16th between 1930 and 2000 hours, but he could not give any vehicle information or description. 4029 Seaside Drive East, no answer. 4033, no answer at the door. 4037, spoke with Marie Franzoni. No video, no information. No soup for you. Okay. Then we have, spoke with resident Greg. He refused to give any additional information. Spoke with Megan Oliver. No video, no information. Spoke with Aaron Zahn. No video. to provide video later the same. 5 Fairway Lane, met with Teresa Kinsel, no information. Met with Joseph Greco, no information. Airbnb, non-resident, no information. Met with resident Terry McGovern, no video, no information. Met with Dawn Dijnak, no information. Met with Amy Zolchowski, no video, no information. Met with David Kozer-Ruba, no video, no information. Joshua Whiting, no video, no information. Randall Pro Swimmer, no video, no information. No answer at the door, no answer at the door, no answer at the door. Larry Ellis, no video, no information. No answer at the door, no answer at the door. Charles Hall, no information. No answer at the door. Greg Vega, no information. Amy Porterfield, no information. Mike McGuire, no information. Wanda Shack, no information. David Kimmer, no information. On Saturday, February 19th, I resumed the neighborhood canvass. I went to 4089 America Avenue. However, we received no answer at the door. I went to the next door. I met with Robert Carey to see if he had any information. For the neighbor of 4089, Robert Carey said his mother, Kelly Carney, Robert Carney said his mother, Kelly Carney, knew the next door neighbor's phone number and said she could be reached at blah, blah, blah. At 10:31 hours, I called and left a message for Kelly Carney to call me back. Oh my gosh, scared me. At 11:07 hours, I received a phone call from Detective Corporal B. Wallace, 787, who advised me he had spoken to Tony, the resident at 4089 America Avenue. Wow. Okay. This is now 4 something. So I'm going to do word cookies because we have a lot to go on this. This is, whoa, gosh, we have well over 120 pages. So, well, I shouldn't say that. Well over 110 pages to go on this portion. So I think we better just call it a night for now, do the word cookie, and hopefully tomorrow night we'll have some more interest. If you are in any groups about it, if you want to share it out, that would be great. That would be great. February 19th. I feel like we have a gate and everything lately. Hi, Brenda. How are you? How's it going? How's it going? How's it going? Oh, come on. You, yeah, you. Oh, I know. Hold on, I got it now. Oh gosh, you got it the same as me, and we all got it at the same time. I can't believe it. I just thought of it, and I look at the chat, and you guys have those two words. That's crazy. We got it at the same time. Sunroof, yeah. Look at me. You used to say you were not good at this, remember? You've come a long way, baby. We did it. Oh, gosh, hold on a minute. It's very important. I gotta make a very special announcement. Please pray for It's Spink's son. Okay, please just pray for his health and that something is, not a serious thing and something that can be easily fixed, and that he gets good reports and stuff like that. Please, please pray for It's Spink's son. Evie's son. And all the Ramblers. There's a lot of Ramblers having health issues, other kinds of issues. So please pray for them all. If you do that, that would be very much appreciated. Okay, guys, I am going to go to bed. I have to go to sleep. I am exhausted. I will see you guys tomorrow. Everybody be good. I'll see you tomorrow. Love you guys. God bless. Prayers. Please pray for everyone. Bye.